49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
Happy Monday, I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Despite an electric fourth quarter and OT minutes last night, the Beam team still unable to find that win column, falling 121-115 to the Warriors.
The Warriors get the win to stay 3-0 in the preseason, and the Kings are now 0-3 in the preseason.
Kings will head to San Francisco to square off with the Warriors once again for Wednesday's I-80 matchup. Keep it locked right here to Sactown Sports so we can get you laced up before then. And over the weekend, no NFL teams remain undefeated as the Jets outmaneuvered the Eagles.
The Jets 20, the Eagles 14. For the first time in Jets history, they beat Philadelphia.
And the Niners stumbled to the Browns 19-17.
Jake has it away. He has the distance, and it is no good. Jake Moody missed the kick, and the 49ers lose.
Of course, we're closing up the Week 6 books tonight with Monday Night Football as the Cowboys tangle with the Chargers. Our pregame coverage locks in at 4:30 with kickoff slated for 5:15 right here on Sactown Sports. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to the Drive, guys.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Well, that didn't go the way it was supposed to go. You can say that about a handful of things that happened in the NFL yesterday. The 49ers, we spent Kyle Draper most of last week trying to convince ourselves that, hey, maybe this will be a game. And what happens? The 49ers end up suffering their first loss of the year in Cleveland. Were the 49ers beaten? Did they beat themselves? Or was the game taken from them? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. With your help, we'll figure that out today. Eddie Gleason, and fresh off his play-by-play last night for the Kings and the Warriors, Kyle Draper.
My man, what is up? So much to get to. I just got off the golf course.
Yeah?
I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I was hoping that being on the course would calm me down from what happened yesterday between the Niners, the Eagles, the Kings. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have a nice day of golf. I'm going to, hit some great tee shots, help my team win. I was awful today. So you're about to feel the wrath of Drapes out here, people. I'm letting you know I'm on one today.
Well, I got to tell you, Kyle Draper is, he's a straight shooter because yesterday, he texted me when Moody's kick was wide. And as an Eagle fan, perhaps he delighted in that. But then he also texted me hours later with kind of a facepalm emoji. What was it exactly? How about them Eagles?
How about them Eagles? So, leave it up to the Philadelphia Eagles to ruin my Monday. Because trust me, I had my trash talk already.
Sure you
I'm just sitting there watching Brock Purdy look so pedestrian, looking at Jake Moody miss field goal after field goal out there. And I'm like, looky. Well, what do we have here? And then a few hours later, the Eagles lay an egg against the Jets. Give the Jets credit, but that unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just, I turned off the Eagles game because I had to get ready for the Kings game. And so the Eagles were up 14-9, started the second half. And
so
I'm like,
figure in your mind,
we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
We're good.
We got this. I get to the arena, and then somebody's like, yeah, did you hear about the Eagles? I was like, yeah, no, they're good, right? And they lost. I was like, no way. They had never lost to the Jets in the history of football. And then yesterday, when I needed them to win the most, that's the one game I needed them to have to enjoy my Monday, they lose. So.
Well, one thing we know at least is as badly as Brock Purdy played yesterday, he's better than Jalen Hurts. At least we figured that out.
No, I don't think we figured that out. I think, Jalen Hurts did some positive things. First half, he was amazing. Jalen Hurts was good. 2 of the 3 interceptions he threw weren't even his fault. The second one, I think it was the second or the third one. I'm not sure.
His arm got hit.
Yeah, he got hit.
Yeah.
The first one, Dallas Goedert caught the ball and then bobbled it. And
that's true.
Yeah, and so.
What about the other one?
No, that was a bad throw. Yeah, that was a bad throw. And so, you know what? I'll say it like this, because I'm a realist. And I told you, I'm objective, listeners out there. The Eagles won't go anywhere if Jalen Hurts doesn't play better. He has to play better. He has been, in my opinion, average. He's shown some flashes. Like, he made some tremendous plays, but the mistakes, you can't have that. And so, to not even score any points in the second half, that offense, give the Jets a lot of credit. They have a habit of, making quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, look kind of pedestrian. That Jets defense is for real. But, man, Jalen Hurts just has to be better.
Well, both those quarterbacks, obviously, they didn't help their teams much yesterday. I would say this, the bad throw, the one throw that you admitted, it was a bad throw by Hurts, that was Jimmy Garoppolo, because there was two defenders there. That was one of those, like, wait, what did he see there?
Right.
And in the worst possible situation, because it was 3rd and 9, right? So you just incompletion there, you punt, you're probably going to win anyway. But it was just that kind of day yesterday.
In case you didn't know, though, we're in Sacramento, so we don't need to talk about the Eagles game. We're not contractually obligated. I want to dive into these Niners. What happened to those?
I want to get some of your views.
No, I just the Eagles, man. I've said it all season long. They just have not played consistent, excellent football. They're nowhere near playing at the level they were last season, and they've been able to get away with it through the first 5 weeks. Yesterday, it came back to bite them. The turnovers, the mistakes, and, the Jets didn't have to do a whole lot offensively. I mean, for the Eagles to score 14 points, that's just unheard of.
I got a problem with Kyle Shanahan. Not only some of the decisions he made, which they didn't work out and they didn't seem like percentage plays in the first place, but I got an issue with the way he set this game up for his team. Aaron Andrews yesterday reported that Kyle Shanahan told the team, this is going to be a tough, grinding, gritty game. Throw out your stats. And really what he should have said was, we're way better than these guys. We're going to destroy them. I think he put in their heads that this is good. We're going to be in it. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter, guys. And I don't know why you would put those thoughts in your team set. I know that Cleveland is excellent defensively. We saw that. But I think he especially his young kicker, maybe that, we're in trouble this week. I don't think Kyle did a good job getting his team ready for that game, and I also didn't think he did a good job coaching that game.
Well, here's the thing, and this is, something they talk about in college basketball, whatever. When you have so much success, when you face adversity, how do you react? And so this was the first time this season that the Niners really were tested, in terms of a late game situation. I thought the Cleveland Browns were the most physical team that the Niners have faced all season long, on both ends of it, the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. And obviously the conditions played a part of it. But I thought the Cleveland Browns, they backed up all their talking. Remember, they were doing a lot of talking about how big of a game, they're going to be ready, it'll be a battle. And they brought it. Outside of that first drive, I mean, this is the worst the Niners have looked in a long time. Like, even before Brock Purdy, he's had some, but this was his worst game as a pro.
At least a year.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm looking at his numbers, 12 of 27, a 4.6 yards per attempt average. That is just, that's one touchdown, one interception, a 55.3 rating. And so give Cleveland a lot of credit. Clearly, the injuries piled up for the Niners. When you lose Debo, you lose CMC, then this offense becomes really average, I think. And I go back to what I said last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. When things are good, Brock Purdy's great. But there will be times when, as we saw yesterday, when you need him to carry the team, and he wasn't able to, I didn't think.
They had some plays to make out there, and he just missed on the throws.
Yes.
He had McCaffrey for a touchdown and missed him, and I thought it was funny because Greg Olsen said, wow, we haven't seen that from him before. And I realized, I guess he didn't see the Rams game.
Right.
Remember, he missed like three of those.
Yeah,
but the 49ers yesterday, were they beaten? Did they beat themselves? Or was the game taken from them? Some 49er fans furious about the officiating. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Let's talk to Jeff here. Jeff joins us on line 2. It's Draper, Gleason, Drive Guys. What's up, Jeff? What happened to the 49ers in that game?
Hey, yeah, guys. Good to talk to you. Here's what happened. They totally got screwed on those last two calls by the refs. Totally screwed. Terrible call. The personal foul. The guy didn't even – he hit him in the shoulder. Shouldn't have been called. And then there was another call right after
Ward.
that.
They got Gibson got called for the unsportsmanlike, and then Ward got called for a very questionable. I think it was a hold or a pass interference. Yeah,
exactly, and that would have been 4th and 10 on that,
Yep.
and I think the Niners would have been fine. But those calls essentially put them in the Browns in field goal range, and I think that totally screwed them. Also, I thought the reffing was terrible in general yesterday. If you watched the New York Giants game last night with Buffalo, first they called pass interference against Buffalo with Waller in the end on the 1-yard line. It was. But the very last play of the game, it was pass interference again. It was so blatant. It was so clear. I just thought the reffing was terrible yesterday.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, that was a terrible call last night at the end of the game where it was clearly pass interference. And if you're the defensive back, and a Giants fan checked in today on the chat, said, great play. If you're the defensive back, Kyle, you hold on there. And if they call PI, okay, we just have another play.
Right.
And if they don't call it, you win the game. That's what happened. That
Right.
actually was the percentage play, and they got away with it.
Yeah, and to the caller's point, I was sitting at home watching football yesterday, and I thought the same thing the caller just said. It's like, man, the officiating is bad around the league today. But I had to remember, I just watched a penalty-filled Niners-Browns game. I mean, those two teams combined, for the most penalties and penalty yards of any two teams this season so far. And so I had to think, well, is it just because I'm tainted by watching that game? It feels like, the officials are ruining it. I will say those two calls against the Niners at the end of that game were awful. The Niners, got robbed on that, but you still had a chance to win.
Still should have
Jake
won.
Moody still had a very makeable 41-yard field goal. And so you only have yourselves to blame, Sure, the refs, helped the Browns march down the field, get the go-ahead field goal, but you still had time. You still had a chance. You marched down the field. You got the benefit of a holding call. I think it was 3rd and 10. It was a holding call, which was a good call, I thought. And so Brock Purdy got him down the field. But you had a chance to win. And so if we're going to sit here, Niners fans, and cry about the officials, y'all got to take that somewhere else, because the Niners had a chance to win the game, and they didn't get it done. That's all. That's it.
Why didn't the 49ers try to get a little closer before trying that
They thought
41-yard field?
They thought it was a chip shot.
But they had
41.
time.
You're at
Isn't
like the
35 better than
20-something
41?
yard line. A missed snap, a fumbled snap, or a fumble or pick or something like that. Like when you watch that, let's keep it real, Whitey. You're watching that game. They got it down to about the 23, 24, I think it was. You're thinking, game over, right?
I'm thinking they got a timeout still. They got plenty of time to at least run one more play. And Kyle felt like, no, we're good. They never did use the timeout because they spiked the ball and missed the kick. And he said, well, in case there was a botched snap or something, we wanted to have time.
Yeah.
But if you're 41 yards out, you botched the snap, good luck. I don't know. I think he was really intimidated by the Cleveland defense and thought that we don't want to take any more chances.
Yeah, and you might be right. And they were talking about it on the broadcast yesterday during the game, with that Cleveland defensive line. If you do hand the ball off, maybe you lose 6 or 7 yards or something like that. And so I felt like Cleveland did their best to give the Niners the game there at the end. Remember that P.J. Walker, that he nearly threw a pick as they were marching down the field. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then they didn't get out of bounds to stop the clock. They throw the ball and, an incomplete pass, so Shanahan doesn't even have to use all his timeouts. And I'm like, the clock management by the Browns and situational management by the Browns, I thought at the end of that game was awful. So they were giving the Niners a chance. And then how about the missed tackles on the Brandon Ayuk completion on the final drive? Ayuk catches it, looks like a 10, 15-yard pass, and then he runs for another 15.
Like they were afraid to touch him.
It was like, penalty. I'm like, what are
Hopefully
you doing?
He'll fall over.
I'm like, guys, we're almost there. What are we doing?
Wait. It almost sounds like you were rooting for the Browns.
No. I was just rooting for good football. That's it.
339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. From injuries to the kicker, all of a sudden the 49ers have issues again. We're right back with that. Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
Can Mike Brown build on last season's Coach of the Year award? Can the Kings exceed 48 wins?
We will be better prepared to make the run that we expect to run come next playoff.
Tune into every Kings game this season on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Quick Quack Car Wash is a proud partner of the Sacramento Kings and can't wait for the upcoming season. To celebrate, Quick Quack is giving one lucky duck a pair of lower-level tickets to the Kings home opener versus Golden State on October 27th. Enter for your chance to win this epic opening night showdown by going to SactownSports.com. Be there for the Kings versus Golden State, courtesy of Quick Quack, where you can wash your car all you want with an unlimited membership.
Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
Sactown Sports.
Yeah, with your help, we're making sense of what happened to the Niners yesterday. Today with the Drive Guys. By the way, speaking of football, Sacramento State football back at home this Saturday night for a nationally televised primetime game versus the Montana State Bobcats. Kickoff 7:30. Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. On the text line from CK916, never in their wildest dreams did Niner fans foresee losing to the Browns. A lot of, Moody Blues coming through the airwaves today. Right. That's pretty good, actually.
You like that, right?
I hadn't thought of that, yeah. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Mike joins us on Sactown Sports. Mike, you're on with Kyle Draper. Waddy Gleason, what's up?
Hey, boys, how are you today?
Good. What's happening?
Hey, you know what? Honestly, we really didn't deserve to win that game yesterday. I thought Cleveland played a more complete game, but like you said, Kyle, they tried to. We had an opportunity to win the football game, and this is where I am not a big Kyle Shanahan fan. And we kicked the crap out of the Cowboys the week before, but at the end of the first half, with 2 minutes to go, he wasted a minute on the clock, and then he takes a timeout, and then we wind up giving the ball back to the Cowboys. It was only 21, I think 10 at the time. But he wound up wasting a possession and wound up giving the ball back to the Cowboys with a minute to go when they should have never seen any time on the clock. And then yesterday, your field goal kicker missed a 54-yarder. What he missed it by? A few feet?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw Purdy there. He kept looking over at the sideline on that last drive with, I think it was 39 seconds left, and they had the timeout. It looked like he was going to get the team into a formation to run another play. And he's sitting there looking and looking and looking, and they actually showed Kyle he didn't know what the hell he wanted to do. And then finally, I think Purdy just spiked the ball on his own.
They were running out of time. You know what was worse than that, in my opinion, Mike, was when they got the ball back before Cleveland kicks the field goal, and there's like 3:25 left. 49ers have the ball, 1-point lead. You run out the clock, you win the game, obviously, and they run the 3 pass plays, and the Browns get the ball back 25 seconds later.
That was horrible. That was horrible play calling. It's game and situation management.
He does that in big games. Whenever there's a big game, you can always count on him messing something up on a clock management or a time management side, and that's why I'm very critical of him. I don't know if it comes to a Super Bowl, if he's going to screw up something and not, because like, you're right. I had no idea why in the hell they ran the 3 pass plays, and now you give Cleveland the ball back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate your listening. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, that was, here you go from, well, maybe you run out the clock to, nope. 25 seconds later, the Browns get the ball back.
Yeah, and I just, I understand your belief in your offense and your faith, but you know, the way that game was going, did we really think that the Niners offense would get going all of a sudden? Like, you got to use some clock. You got to eat them some clock, force them to use up their timeouts, whatever you got to do. And to come out with 3 straight passes, to me, you know, when I watch that game, and maybe I'm wrong, Niners fans, I can't think of one positive aspect offense, defense. I thought the defense played okay. It played, but for the Browns to get 4 field goals,
they couldn't stop
they couldn't
run.
stop the run. And yeah, exactly. And so I thought the Niners lost in every aspect of that game yesterday: coaching, offense, defense, and special teams.
Here's some good news. As you may have heard, Kyle Shanahan said today, Debo with his shoulder and Trent Williams with his ankle are day-to-day. Williams' injury, the more common ankle sprain and not the high ankle sprain, according to Matt Barrows. And at last check, we still don't have further information on Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, that's potentially the crippling blow. Although Shanahan did say today, my understanding is that he said today McCaffrey has a rib and oblique injury, not a rib/oblique injury. What he said was, that's what he said, unless he misspoke, but he said oblique and rib injury, and we're awaiting further information on that.
And that's a game changer, right? Christian
Could
McCaffrey is, he is the heart and soul of this offense in terms of what they do. They become, in my opinion, a lot more one-dimensional with who are you going to run back there? Debo, or are you going to throw him? And he's banged up. And so Elijah Mitchell, CMC is in the MVP conversation for a reason. And you lose him, if you're a defensive coordinator, no CMC changes how you prepare for the Niners.
By the way, I don't think there's any question that he's being targeted. And that's Greg Olsen said that. And it's not, are they targeting him or is it just football? They are targeting him, and that is football. I mean,
right.
That's the way the game is played.
Like when you say targeting, though, when I hear targeting, I think of cheap shots. I don't know. Are they trying to knock him out the game?
He's getting a lot of this. It's pro football again,
but
I understand it. But it's going on.
If it was one team and like 5 players and everybody, but you're talking. So every team in the NFL that they face, they're targeting CMC.
I think the last 4 teams they've played,
so
someone has gotten a penalty and a fine for what they've done to McCaffrey.
That's football. I don't think it's, I'm going to go grab his face mask and try to get, it's hard to stop this guy.
I know. And
I don't think there's no premeditated, we're going to come in and pull him by his face mask. To me, targeting, like I said, that means cheap shot. And I don't think that's what we're seeing from defenses. I think bring them down by any means necessary might be the mantra.
I would agree with that.
Something like
Whatever
that.
it is that's going on. And again, it's football. I get it. But the 49ers, well, fingers crossed. Hopefully they're not going to be without him for a while. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Matthew joining us. Drive Guys, Sactown Sports. Hey, Matthew, how are you?
Hey, you guys. I'm so glad I'm on with you. Drapes, I just got to say, man, my dad's listening right now, and you're one of his favorites, man. You always bring the energy. You get him laughing, and we always need more of that. So
appreciate that. What's your dad's name?
His name is Marty.
Say hi to Marty.
Marty, my guy. Thanks so much. You're a Drapes guy. I got merchandise that says Drapes guy on it. I might have to send Marty. Yeah, dude, you're learning more and more about me. But go ahead, man. You didn't call to talk about me. You're talking about these Niners. What you got for me?
Well, actually, if it's all right, I wanted to just make a quick comment about the Kings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. We were at the game last night, and I had to double check with my wife. We were at the season opener 2 years ago. And, man, we felt like there was more energy and electricity last night in a preseason game. You were there. What did you say? What do you think about the energy? Was that something special or what?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. That was ridiculous. I was sitting next to Katie calling the game, obviously, and I would look up at the stands, and not just the lower level, the upper level, the balcony level was full. And like somebody said to me, and it might have been this morning or yesterday, it was like game 8 of the playoffs between the Warriors and the Kings, and I was sitting next to Katie, and I'm like, this is a preseason game? This is why I came to Sacramento. This fan base, they turned out last night. The energy was great. The game was great, at least early on. The Kings looked great. And so, yeah, it was electric in that building.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, thanks for checking in. Let's see. We'll get one more call in here. And Drapes Takes are coming up, by the way. Kings fans, we got that coming up. Let's talk to Glenn on Sactown Sports. Glenn, you're on with Drive Guys. How are you today? What's up?
Hi, guys. Doing pretty good. I just had a couple questions. One was about the Eagles' season compared to their season last year. I think they're an exceptional football team, and I just think the defenses around the NFL are playing them better.
All right, thank you. What else you got?
That I think that the Niners losing is going to set them on fire.
All right, thank you, Glenn. What did you think of Glenn's comment about the Eagles?
Nah.
Eagles guy.
Oh, because if
he's trying to give him a kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, but you know what I see from the Eagles, and this is
interceptions.
But let's not forget, only one of them was his fault, Jalen Hurts. But what I see is a team that's too cool, if you will. Like, they know they're good, they know they're great, they know they are going to hopefully make it to the NFC Championship game, compete for a Super Bowl maybe again. And so sometimes they take their foot off the pedal a little bit. Sometimes Jalen Hurts gets a little too loose with the ball, thinking he's Superman and can make whatever play is needed to be made. And sometimes he does. He had a couple of, drive extending plays where he's under pressure, he's being hounded, harassed, and he still is able to throw the ball on a run. And so I think right now they're so confident that maybe they're not taking their opponents as seriously as they should.
If that's true, it may also be a veteran team. They also know that it's really early and the season's really long.
Yeah, exactly. But, if I'm them, and maybe they didn't watch the scoreboard, but that Niners game was a 10 o'clock game. The Eagles were, a 125 game. Once I see the Niners lose, and I've said this to you, why do you agree? Like, the Eagles and the Niners, they're playing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're for home field advantage. So once I saw the Niners lose, if I'm the Eagles, it's like, all right, let's go. You're not playing against your division, Dallas and all those. You're playing against the Niners. And so that should have given them more, fuel, more inspiration to get it done.
Also, it was a cautionary tale. What happened to the 49ers was like, hey, you're playing the Jets. Don't let this happen to you. And they did. So here we are. Drape's takes, as promised, from last night's game. He had the play-by-play. Another Kings preseason loss. So where are the Kings now? We'll find out. Drape's takes when we come back. Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Who do they decide on for the Super Bowl?
What do you mean, halftime act?
Yeah. I know that Taylor Swift.
Yeah, turned him down, right?
At what point do people turn on Taylor Swift and be like, why don't you lower your prices? And I understand the whole Ticketmaster thing, but what about the merch? Like, legit, do you have to make $1 billion? Could you make $500 million? Could you?
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Sactown Sports.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com.
It's no secret to golf enthusiasts that Timber Creek and Sierra Pines in Roseville are one of the region's most unique and scenic places to enjoy a great game of golf. 27 holes, boundless options. Elevate your game on our newly renovated driving range, putting green, and chipping area. Whether you're aiming for fun, lower scores, or all-around growth, we've got you covered. Experience golfing dreams in Roseville and book your tee time at timbercreekgc.com. Timber Creek and Sierra Pines, your ultimate golf haven.
Cooler temperatures mean it's time to reduce your outdoor water use. Water 1 day per week on Saturday or Sunday from November 1st through February 29th. Learn more about your home's watering schedule at sacwaterwise.com.
Hey, Sacramento, join us at Hornet Stadium this Saturday for 916 night as the top-ranked Sacramento State Hornets are back home for a nationally televised primetime game. Kickoff is at 7:30 as the Hornets welcome in the Montana State Bobcats to Hornet Stadium in a crucial Big Sky matchup. Help us pack Hornet Stadium and show your Sacramento pride. Stick around after the game for post-game fireworks. Get your tickets now at hornetsports.com. Stingers up and go Hornets.
It's time to trade in and trade up at Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. Plus, get top dollar for your trade. Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com. It's all a click away.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
based on 2022 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company's own report.
At Ashton and Price, over the last 25 years, we've won just about every injury case you can think of. Slip and fall, falling merchandise, fell through rotted decking, we won those. Dangerous stairs, falls into holes, dog bites, won them. Injured while pedestrian or on a bicycle, auto, motorcycle, big rig, company vehicle, Uber, or Lyft accident, we've won them all. And the best news is there's no fee until you win. So no matter how you got injured,
remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave, and I recognize, just like my friends at American Energy Heat and Air, that your time is important. And that's why shopping for a new air conditioner is now easier with American Energy Heat and Air's online quoting tool. All you have to do is go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote right now. It'll help you determine what system you're going to need to get. It'll provide the best pricing options, all from the comfort of your home without having to have somebody come to your home. You know how annoying that is? They come in and everybody there is so sweet and nice, but how much better is it to be able to get it on demand? Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your needs are, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Monday, I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Despite an electric fourth quarter and OT minutes last night, the Beam team still unable to find that win column, falling 121-115 to the Warriors.
The Warriors get the win to stay 3-0 in the preseason, and the Kings are now 0-3 in the preseason.
Kings will head to San Francisco to square off with the Warriors once again for Wednesday's I-80 matchup. Keep it locked right here to Sactown Sports so we can get you laced up before then. And over the weekend, no NFL teams remain undefeated as the Jets outmaneuvered the Eagles.
The Jets 20, the Eagles 14. For the first time in Jets history, they beat Philadelphia.
And the Niners stumbled to the Browns 19-17.
Jake has it away. He has the distance, and it is no good. Jake Moody missed the kick, and the 49ers lose.
Of course, we're closing up the Week 6 books tonight with Monday Night Football as the Cowboys tangle with the Chargers. Our pregame coverage locks in at 4:30 with kickoff slated for 5:15 right here on Sactown Sports. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to the Drive, guys.
Your flagship station for the Beam team, Sactown Sports.
Yeah, the atmosphere was crazy last night at the Golden Wand. Drape's Takes coming up in just a second. Before we get to that, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Mitch in New Jersey has been hanging on. Mitch, you're on with the Drive, guys. Thanks for hanging. What's up today?
Thanks for taking my call. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. I don't know how the 49ers lost. You made a great difference. They were playing with a third stringer. I wanted to see DTR.
Mm-hmm.
And we are so deep of a running back. And I'm not saying Purdy deserves to lose his job, but he's no Joe Montana yet. Couldn't we have just seen what Sam Darnold had in the fourth quarter? No.
Mitch, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. I mean, you're speaking my language right there, man. But I can't even co-sign on this one. I get it, Mitch. Purdy looked awful yesterday. He looked, human, if you will.
Sure.
He looked like he had, trouble throwing the ball yesterday. But I'm not going to say put Sam Darnold in. We're not at that point yet. I mean, I get it, Mitch. He didn't play well. But if Kyle Shanahan says he's the real deal, I'm not going to let one bad game where everybody played pretty badly yesterday, I thought, for the Niners in Cleveland. I'm not going to say, told you, time to turn to the backup quarterback. But he was exposed a little bit yesterday, Whitey. Mm-hmm. He was exposed.
And before we leave off the 49ers and get to the Kings, just one quick point. We talked about this Friday. Jim Schwartz now, the Browns coordinator, head-to-head with Kyle Shanahan as coordinators or head coaches. Jim Schwartz is 8-1.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And, we're going to move on to the Kings, but one last point here. I thought you asked earlier, did the Niners lose the game, the Browns win it, whatever? I think it's a little bit of both. The Niners had their opportunities. How many drops did we see? how many, missed passes did we see from Brock Purdy? And so how many, missed tackles, on the Browns run game did we see? And so the Niners, we talked beforehand about it might just be one of those days. I felt like yesterday was one of those days where nothing could go right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Things looked like they might go right for the Kings, and I know it's just preseason, but still they ended up with another preseason loss. It's time for Drape's Takes. He had the call last night on the television.
Yes, and that was exciting.
Me to tell you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And I need some intro music for Drape's Takes. I may have to get with Jay back there, some local artist or something. We're going to jazz up Drape's Takes.
All right.
By the time the season comes around. But
yeah, it's just a preseason.
It's just a preseason, so I don't want to unveil the heat just yet. But what I will say, one of my biggest takeaways from yesterday, Chris Duarte got the start. And I know he got banged up. He only played in that first half. But I really liked what I saw from Chris Duarte in that starting unit. And I'm not talking about the offense, because I think the offense will come 5 points on just 2 of 5 shooting. But he was a team best +9, and this was in the first half. And so I think his defensive, what he brings defensively, like he played great defense, I thought, against Klay Thompson. At times he was matched up with Kuminga, but I thought he was always in position. He contested every shot. He did a lot of good things. And so he's not fancy. He's not going to be on ESPN. He's not going to go viral with anything, but he is a really solid basketball player. And I would not be surprised, Whitey. This is just my what I see, in my opinion. I would not be surprised if we see him starting more this season.
How much would that cost them offensively based on, Herter right now? You don't know if he's going to do what he did last year, but just based on the way he played last year, how much offense would you lose?
And that's the key, right? Because Herter was tremendous last year during the regular season. He was a big reason why they were who they were. Now, if Chris Duarte can give you 80 to 90% of that, that's going to be the key for him. Can he knock down the 3-point shot, open it up? But he gives you more defensively, I think. Now, here's the question, though, if you're Mike Brown, because do you risk losing Kevin Herter if you move him to the bench? And so I'm talking emotionally, mentally. Like if you're Kevin Herter and you sort of get demoted by going to the bench, how do you react to that? And so Mike Brown has to be a psychologist to an extent. It's not just about X's and O's. It's about, the whole totality of the situation. You put in Chris Duarte, but you might lose Kevin Herter. How does that impact your team as well?
Right. And it could affect the way he plays, even if he says, you know what, I don't like it, but I'm okay with it. But if it affects the way he plays, then it's still a problem.
Right. I think we all would love to see Kevin Herter get back to being that guy we saw, especially early last season. Having fun out there, knocking down threes, a well-oiled machine with the other 4 guys out there. It's been a struggle for him so far this preseason. Even last night, coming off the bench, he was 3 of 8, 1 of 5 from 3-point range. And so
ball doesn't look good coming out of his hand.
Yeah, exactly. And so and we've been talking about it. I just want one of those vintage Kevin Herter games where he hits 4 or 5 threes and everybody's excited. And so he's scuffling right now. He's definitely scuffling right now. My second takeaway is the most valuable bench big player for the Kings is Trey Lyles. He's going to be in the rotation night in and night out. Trey Lyles is Mr. Dependable for Mike Brown. Trey Lyles, I thought, was tremendous last night. 11 points, had a couple of steals as well, knocked down 3 threes. If he's hitting 3 threes, oh my gosh, you can't keep this guy off the floor. Trey Lyles, we talked about Harrison Barnes' contract, some of the newcomers, but Trey Lyles, bringing him back, might be the best move that Monty McNair made this offseason.
You see him playing more stretch 4 than 5?
I think so. I think,
little small ball center.
Yeah,
maybe.
He played a lot of 5 yesterday, but that was because JaVale McGee was out. And so I would love to see, how Mike Brown uses him. I thought, against the Warriors, you can get away with that small ball 5, especially when Looney's on the bench, because they really don't have a backup center like a Looney kind of 6'10", 6'11", 7-footer that can dominate you on the glass outside of Looney. And so Trey Lyles fits in perfectly, but when you place the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't think you'll see Trey at the 5. But to me, Trey Lyles is a guy that we talk about the rotation. He is firmly in it. He's a top 7 guy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. How about my guy, Colby Jones? He impressed you at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't get to see him until second half, obviously, a little late. I thought he looked good in his minutes that were out there. He had a couple of turnovers, though. A couple of times he got caught up in the air. I thought about when watching him, they got him down for one turnover. But he just looked uncomfortable at times and driving to the basket, like trying to make a decision, and he got caught up in the air. But I like what I saw. But, it's going to be tough for him to get minutes during the regular season. And so, one thing that I was disappointed in from the Kings, because I thought they came out like gangbusters, exactly what Mike Brown wanted to see from the team in the first quarter.
38-point first quarter, yeah.
They did it. 38-25, did a great job defensively, but then they were inconsistent the rest of the way. And so you would hope that this team understands how they have to play. And obviously you're not going to be locked in like that for a full 48. But outside of that first quarter, I thought the Warriors were able to do what they wanted out there.
Did I imagine this, or did Alex Len make a three-pointer?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
yes, he did.
Wow, I've been watching too much TV today.
2023 NBA. And what's so funny about that, I was sitting there watching Alex Len warm up, and I'm like, this guy's putting up a lot of threes, but he's shooting them confidently, and that's just that's what they ask of their bigs. Like, if you're going to play for the Sacramento Kings, you got to be able to stretch the floor a little bit so that the defense can respect you. And you don't want to be an offensive limitation and have a team play 5-on-4. And so, yeah, he knocked down a 3 last night.
Mm-hmm. All right. Drape's takes for today?
Yeah, got to get a sponsor. Talk to sales. Got to get sales on this thing. Why, do you know anybody? You know anybody?
We'll talk.
All right.
Yeah, we'll talk. When we come back, should Duarte be a starter? Is that one of the keys to Kings' improvement this year? A little bit better defense in the starting lineup. And, of course, we're all over the 49ers. Our question of the day on the Niners, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. 49ers, were they beaten? Did they beat themselves? Was a game taken from them? With the Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
Will Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers brass go all the way this season? Could the Niners win their first Super Bowl since 1995? Join us throughout the season to hear all the games and all the analysis on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
Model Year End pricing is back at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
During the Model Year End event, lower interest rates at Folsom Lake Honda make lower payments. It's no wonder why Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. Come in today or check out our entire inventory online at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Hagen Oaks wants you to know about the exciting new T-Series irons from Titleist, offering effortless speed, exceptional feel, and precise control. Working with tour pros and dedicated amateurs, Titleist T-Series are available in 4 different models. The fitting team at Hagen Oaks will find the perfect Titleist T-Series iron for you. Call 916-808-2531 to find your fit today. Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway, or online at HagenOaks.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions, not available in all areas. If you're a small business owner, listen up. Pi Insurance wants to give you one of those aha moments, the kind that could save you money. Workers' comp is probably one of the biggest costs you face. But did you know that insurance providers have flexibility in setting their prices? That's right. But many don't bother giving small businesses the savings you deserve. Instead, you can get lumped in with other businesses and overcharged. Pi Insurance was created to change that. With Pi, you get a quote tailored specifically to your business, and you could save up to 30% with no hassle and no hidden fees. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. Take 3 minutes to see how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or go to trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
The game of football is about pain. Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I stopped playing at 31.
You're listening to Michael Robinson, retired pro fullback.
I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. I have terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet arch supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship. I would have 2 championship rings.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Good Feet in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and Vacaville.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
Sactown Sports is home to the Kings, Niners, and now the business of sports. Hosted by Kelly Brothers and brought to you by Cap Trust, offering customized, independent financial advice at captrust.com. Join Kelly Brothers, Carmichael, Dave, and Jason as they look at the business of sports every Thursday at 7:40 a.m. You want to know how sports really work? Follow the money with Kelly Brothers from Cap Trust on Sactown Sports.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sactown Sports.
Drive Guys with you. Yesterday, Kyle Draper with the call, of course, for the Kings and the Warriors. And I know, Kyle, today you were in a golf tournament, right? A charity Kings organized golf tournament.
Yeah, Phil Oates, one of the minority owners, he puts on a annual golf tournament. And I was out there, and I tell you what, there were some big-time celebrities out there. Outside of me,
yeah,
there were some. Oh, my boy Kenny Thomas was out there. Mike Bibby was out there. I played with Alex English,
really,
the Hall of Fame basketball player. He was out there.
Get him on the show.
We can. Let me know. He said, "Hey Kyle, here, take down my number. Anytime you want me to come on, let me know." And so, as we get closer to the season and into the season, we remember Alex English back here as well. He was an assistant coach, right, with the Kings. Back in the Keith Smart days, I do believe. So he has family out here too. He said too. So he's always out here. But great guy, Marcus Allen, Norm Nixon. Remember Norm Nixon of the Lakers? Yeah.
Mr. Deborah Allen.
Yeah, Mr. Deborah Allen, yes. And who else was out here? Cedric the Entertainer, Anthony Anderson. I mean, I could go on and on. There were a lot of celebrities. Carmichael Dave was out there. And so, we were well represented. 1140 was in the house. Yeah.
Right. Well, since you were playing golf, you may not have seen this, and I feel like I should tell you. I don't want you to hear about it somewhere else. Your boy, John Hollinger, today in The Athletic. He, for some reason, decided to write about the bottom 8 teams in the Western Conference. Now, why you would break it down that way, I don't know. I guess tomorrow's the top 8. So John Hollinger, and he's on record as being in the past very analytics-driven and not necessarily a friend of the Kings.
Right.
So here's how he breaks it down. 15 in the West, the bottom 8 in the West. 15, Portland Trailblazers. 14, San Antonio Spurs. 13, Houston Rockets. John Hollinger says 12th in the West this year, the Utah Jazz. 11th in the West this year, the Sacramento Kings. John Hollinger has them 39 and 43 this year. 11th.
What was that record he had?
39
Oh my God.
and 43. He says the odds of repeating their injury avoidance from last year unlikely. Second unit looks shaky at best and will be considerably more exposed if the starters miss actual games. He also says this year's West will be much less forgiving. And he also says a fall all the way to 11th may sound shocking, but these standings are so compressed, it's still only a handful of games away from a top 6 seed. So that's one thing I'll say that he's given the Kings some credit. He says this is the West is very competitive, and it'll be like last year, very tight in there, and someone has to finish 11th. In his view, the Kings are the team most likely to end up there.
Dave, my mom and dad raised me to be respectful, to listen to differing opinions. Just because someone doesn't agree with you and say have the same opinion doesn't mean they're a bad person. So I'm not saying John Hollinger is a bad person. He's well respected in the NBA, but this is just garbage. This is just nonsense. This is once again Sacramento Kings slander that I just won't stand for. You said it before you even announced the results that John Hollinger is an analytics-based guy. So I already knew right from the jump that he wasn't going to give our Sacramento Kings the love they deserve. So what happened last year, John Hollinger? Because your analytics probably had them lower than what they were, and they finished third. Why wouldn't the Kings be an improved team? Sure, the record may not be better, but in terms of continuity, in terms of chemistry, this team should be even better than they were last season. Maybe the record won't indicate that, but to say 39, to say 39 when you got 2 all-NBA performers, you got an all-rookie first-team player, right there you got 3 potential all-stars. Not saying Keegan's going to be that, but maybe in the future he will. Who out? Like, why are we saying Minnesota is going to be better than the Kings? Why are we saying the Pelicans are going to be better than the Kings when we know Zion's injury history? One of the reasons why he said the Kings would fall back this year is because the potential of injury. If any of their starters go down, then their depth will be tested. Well, how come you ain't saying it about the Pelicans? How come you ain't saying it about Minnesota? Golden State, all those other teams.
You've pointed out before that Hollinger and some of his analytics brethren are not huge fans of Domas Sabonis.
Yes.
He says he's a 3-time All-Star. On the other hand, the postseason laid bare some of his deficiencies as a defender and floor spacer. He also says this is one of the thesis of his piece here, if you will, the big picture debate. This team is clearly better than any of the previous 15 years in Sactown, but is it good enough to start taking big risks with future draft capital? Is there a realistic trade endgame that gives the Kings a top 5 caliber roster and justifies a damn the Torpedoes trade? So he's saying, look, if they get to a point here midway through the season where things aren't where they want it to be, they have the wherewithal, the cap space, where they could go out and try to get a big name player. Is that a smart move for them? Which assumes if they're in that case, that means what they have now is not working.
But go back to what you just said before about the last 15 years. What did he say?
This team is clearly better than any of the previous 15 years in Sacramento.
We just had a 48-win season and a number 3 seed. And he in his article just said this team is clearly better than that team, right? Based on, he said, last 15 years. That would include last season. And so John Hollinger is not making sense right now. And I'm telling you, Whitey, you know what? You may have to do this show by yourself when you bring up John Hollinger, because whether it's Hollinger, whether it's Kevin O'Connor, Bleacher Report, these guys just don't know what's going on in Sacramento. They punch some numbers into their tiny MacBook, their computer, and spit it out like dweebs. And I'm telling you, the eye test and the history of these Kings, we just saw them last year, 2 third-team All-NBA players. If any other team had that kind of success last year, they wouldn't be doing this.
He also has, by the way, 10 Oklahoma City, 9 New Orleans, 8 Dallas Mavericks.
This is killing me, man.
They
got the Mavericks.
Yeah, that's where it gets kind of humorous.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm telling you, Sacramento Kings fans, I'm mistaken here. I'm letting my blood boil here. But anytime you hear words from John Hollinger, Kevin O'Connor,
Kevin Pelton?
Kevin Pelton too, because he puts it, like I said, into his computer. Treat those guys like Charlie Brown's teacher on Peanuts. Wah, wah. I don't hear what they're saying because they clearly have no idea why. That's disrespectful what you just read right there. Dissing the Kings. You said 11th? Did you really say 11th?
He also says, I do expect the Kings to be on the fringes of that race this time around rather than the lofty number 3 seed of a year ago. So again, and that's what a lot of the analysts are doing when they're downgrading the Kings. They're trying to play it a little bit both ways. Like, they're good and they could be in it, but I don't think they're going to be very good this year.
Unbelievable. And these guys get paid to write these kind of things. That's what's so upsetting about me. And I'm not saying this as a Kings homer. I'm actually being objective. We got 2 third-team All-NBA players. We got a coach of the year, a first-team All-Rookie. Why would I think, even if everybody else is better, the Kings are who they are? Like, the talent is who they are. And so Fox isn't going to take a step back. Are we thinking Domantas Sabonis is going to take a step back? And so why wouldn't the Kings be either as good or maybe even better? Remember, I said, sure, they won 48 games, but they should have won 52 last year.
Because all these analytics guys think that half the starting lineup's going to be in the hospital by December. Because last year they were pretty healthy.
Right, they were pretty healthy.
And then on the benches and his kids, blah, blah, blah. Someone has to finish 11th.
You can say that about every single team in the NBA. If they don't have good health, their season won't be the same. That's just obvious.
Yes. It's tough because teams still don't understand, or I should say the analysts don't understand how the Kings did it. And it is. I mean, it's so tight in the West. It's hard to make these predictions. This team's going to be there. This team's going to be there. So it's kind of default. Well, the Kings are still the Kings, right? So they're not going to be as good as these other teams. I think we know better. We'll find out. By the way, should we be at all concerned that they haven't won a preseason game yet?
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. Not at all. It's preseason. And as you know, the starters play more minutes during the regular season. The rotations aren't even set yet. Not at all. I'm not
Should
worried.
we be concerned that the 49ers lost yesterday?
Yes. You should be sadly like this season is done.
How much of that 49er loss do you pin on Kyle Shanahan? That's next with the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sactown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
It's all on his shoulders. Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Hey, Sacramento, join us at Hornet Stadium this Saturday for 916 night as the top-ranked Sacramento State Hornets are back home for a nationally televised primetime game. Kickoff is at 7:30 as the Hornets welcome in the Montana State Bobcats to Hornet Stadium in a crucial Big Sky matchup. Help us pack Hornet Stadium and show your Sacramento pride. Stick around after the game for post-game fireworks. Get your tickets now at HornetSports.com. Stingers up and go Hornets!
Igor, my faithful companion, it is time to prepare for the night. The shadows grow long, and the creatures of the night stir with excitement.
Yes, Master Dracula. What do you require of me?
I need you to fire up the hearse. Elk Grove Kia is having a Halloween sale that is to die for. We're going to upgrade you a new car worthy of the Prince of Darkness. I'm so excited. It is making my blood shiver.
But Master, with your credit history, aren't you worried you're going to get turned down?
Igor, shut up. Elk Grove Kia's finance department has over 100 years of experience. They could even get me approved, even with my troubled past. And Elk Grove Kia's exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on all new Kias, it's almost like having an immortal car.
Elk Grove Kia's Halloween sale is so good, it's scaring the competition. In fact, it's so scary, we can't even advertise the pricing. So whether you're in need of a new or used car, make your way to Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, or visit us at elkgrovekia.com.
Capital Casino, conveniently located on 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
Happy Monday, I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Despite an electric fourth quarter and OT minutes last night, the Beam team still unable to find that win column, falling 121-115 to the Warriors.
The Warriors get the win to stay 3-0 in the preseason, and the Kings are now 0-3 in the preseason.
Kings will head to San Francisco to square off with the Warriors once again for Wednesday's I-80 matchup. Keep it locked right here to Sactown Sports so we can get you laced up before then. And over the weekend, no NFL teams remain undefeated as the Jets outmaneuvered the Eagles.
The Jets 20, the Eagles 14. For the first time in Jets history, they beat Philadelphia.
And the Niners stumbled to the Browns 19-17.
Jake has it away. He has the distance, and it is no good. Jake Moody missed the kick, and the 49ers lose.
Of course, we're closing up the Week 6 books tonight with Monday Night Football as the Cowboys tangle with the Chargers. Our pregame coverage locks in at 4:30 with kickoff slated for 5:15 right here on Sactown Sports. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to the Drive, guys.
Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
It's a Drive, guys, the day after one that 49er fans didn't see coming as the Browns knock off the 49ers. It's good, Kyle, to have somebody that you can talk to that you trust as far as their football know-how and their knowledge. And one of my go-to people when it comes to football is my mother-in-law, Taneko. And she is a big 49er fan, and she was at our house yesterday. We're watching the game. And when Robbie Gould missed his first kick, my mother-in-law, Taneko, she turns to me, she says, "What happened to number 9?" I said, "Oh, you mean Robbie Gould?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Is he still on the team?" "No, nobody has him." She said, "Wait, nobody has him?" She says, "He's really good." So then you can imagine what she was saying when he missed the kick at the end of the game. She's like, wait. You said nobody has number 9? And I know she wasn't the only 49er fan wondering yesterday about this whole Moody in, Robbie Gould out situation.
Yeah, and I was at the golf course today, and one of the first things somebody asked me was, why'd we get rid of Robbie? Like, what, he was money. I said, Robbie would have made that kick yesterday. And so, when you look at what Jake Moody did yesterday, remember, we had some question marks about this guy in the preseason. And so he had some misses in the preseason. Let's keep it real. Then in the regular season, he was money. He was a perfect 10 for 10 going into yesterday. But he had never really had a high-level, high-pressure kind of kick. He did have 150-yarder earlier in the season, and so give him credit to that. That was against the Rams, 57-yarder. He booted that. But yesterday, the conditions were a little sloppy, and it was a kick that you needed to have at the end, that 41-yarder. And he came up wide right.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a Niners fan, I'm a little concerned about that, Whitey, and here's why. When you're up by 21, when you're blowing Dallas out by 32, everything's great. It's all lovely. It's all nice. But when it gets a little tough, when somebody smacks you in the mouth like the Browns did, when you get iced at the end of the game, when the pressure is all on your shoulders, to me, that's when the kicker shows his worth.
Well, one of the reasons they drafted him from the Big Ten was because he was a guy that could kick in foul weather. And yesterday, those were not ideal conditions. But
it wasn't no monsoon or anything like that.
Right. So maybe the conditions had nothing to do with it. But it's easy to find at least three people that you can say, well, they are the ones to blame. Obviously, it's an organizational-wide failure, but you've got, of course, Moody. He missed the 2 kicks. Makes either one of those, they win the game. Brock Purdy was not good yesterday, came crashing back to earth. And I also put a lot of the blame on Kyle Shanahan. And that's our question today. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. The 49ers, were they beaten? Did they beat themselves? Or was the game taken from them by the officials, as one caller suggested earlier? I know a lot of people were upset about the officiating. I don't buy that. To me, if I have to pick one of those, the 49ers beat themselves because they had so many opportunities to win the game, even coming down to the last kick. Cleveland did everything they could do. They played about as well as they could play, but I still think the 49ers had to give them a helping hand for them to win, and that's exactly what happened.
You're right about that. And give Cleveland a lot of credit. They played well.
They did.
Their defense played well. They played physical. They got after Brock Purdy. Their offense was what we thought. Remember I said last week, 17 points should get it done. I was off by just a little bit, but the Browns' offense was what we thought. I'm surprised the Browns were able to run as well as they did against the Niners, without no Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford came into this game averaging 3.9 yards per carry, had 4.9 in this game. But to your point about the Niners losing that game, Ayuk dropped a couple of passes. Brock Purdy missed a couple of – Brock Purdy's interception was a horrible throw. That was a bad throw. Kyle Shanahan's penalties, all that factors into it. And so I'm not going to say the Niners having problem or worry or anything like that. It might have just been one of those days because when I look around the NFL yesterday, Whitey, the Niners lost. The Eagles lost. The Buffalo Bills nearly lost as well. And so it was kind of a weird Sunday, I thought, yesterday. And fortunately for the Niners, it's not going to cost them, because the Eagles lost also. So now, they're sort of still in the driver's seat. You win out, you'll be number one team in the NFC. But they should have had that game. Like, they're clearly a better team.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. When Debo goes down, are the Niners a different team?
Sure.
Like, can they afford an injury to a Debo or a CMC or a Trent Williams, you think?
They're all different.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, short term, sure. Trent Williams, if you lose him short term you can get by. Long term, you're probably done as a Super Bowl contender. I think if you lose Debo or CMC, especially if it's Debo, you can make do. If he's going to be gone for like the whole rest of the year, which apparently he's not, that changes the equation. If McCaffrey's done for the rest of the year, that probably also, in my opinion, that means, well, you're probably not a Super Bowl contender. Now, we're still waiting to hear more details on his status because Shanahan said today it's a rib injury and an oblique injury. We know that Trent Williams is game to game. We know Debo's game to game. We still are not sure, CMC, what the extent of his injury is. If something's broken in there, something's just pulled. So we'll see. But to answer your question, yeah, you could short-term get away with any one of those. Long-term, if it's Trent Williams, to me, long-term, or if it's CMC, you're probably not going to get to the Super Bowl. But I would place a great deal of blame for yesterday on Kyle Shanahan for two reasons, and I think one you and I disagree on. One is when they get the ball with, 3:25 left, and they've got a 1-point lead, and it's the 49ers. They run the ball. That's what they do. You run out the clock, you win the game, and instead, pass, incomplete. You give them the ball back 25 seconds later. That is incredible, right? And they probably, Kyle probably figures, they know we're going to run, so we're going to throw a pass. We'll get ahead of the chains, and that was incomplete. And then at that point, well, now we have to throw, so that didn't work. And then the other, and I think you disagree, and I know a lot of people don't see it this way. To me, they had the opportunity to try to get closer for that kick, maybe even score a touchdown, and they decided that, nope, 41 is good, and it wasn't. I also question that, the wisdom of that decision, letting that clock wind down before Purdy finally stopped the clock on his own, and they get that kick that Shanahan felt comfortable with, wide right.
But that's Monday morning quarterback. That's looking back.
But it was at the time, I thought it. But
at the time you thought that?
Oh, sure.
I thought, you know what? 23 yards or 23-yard line, wherever they were at 24, 41-yard field goal, to me, that's a chip shot in the NFL. That should be an easy kick for Jake Moody. He had been perfect, under 50 yards before then. He had been, 9 of 10 overall, I think, before then as well. And so when you look at that, sure, we can second guess that now. Like, I didn't have a problem with it at the time. I first
guessed it, but fair enough.
Thought, you know what?
Fair enough.
I did think, oh, man. At first, I thought they weren't going to just settle for a field goal. Like, I thought, oh, man, they got enough time to actually go in and score.
So much time and a timeout.
But I didn't have a problem with the way they played it, bringing the clock down, going for the game winner.
To me, they played it like they were on the 15-yard line. Like, all right, we're good. Let's just run the clock down.
But that's what it felt like to me. Like, when I looked at the distance of the kick, and I know 41 is different than, a 30-yard kick. That's a big difference. But I thought because the Browns tried to give this game away. So forget about the penalties called against the Niners. The Browns tried to give this game away at the end. I thought, you know what? The Niners are going to get out of here with a win that they didn't deserve because the Browns couldn't tackle Ayuk on that final drive. They had a holding penalty or a pass interference. I forget which one it was on that final drive. And so we can second guess Kyle for not going for it. Not, your offense is rolling. You're moving it down. Go for a touchdown. Sure. But Jake Moody has to make that kick.
Yeah, I agree with that
ultimately,
too.
Jake Moody has to make that kick.
But he'd already missed one. Anyway, I just thought they had an opportunity there, and he was a little too conservative. It didn't work out. You're right.
Which is surprising for Kyle, right?
Sometimes, it depends.
Right, like this offensive mastermind, you know, and then all of a sudden he clams up at the end a little bit.
He was feeling the Browns in their defense yesterday.
Yeah,
He couldn't figure them out.
Yeah, exactly. And you heard it on the broadcast yesterday. They were like, man, because I thought the broadcasters agreed with the decision to just line up for the field goal, clock it, don't hand it off, don't risk, a fumble or anything like that, because this Browns defense was so good.
I'm sure that's what Kyle Shanahan was thinking.
Exactly. And you think you have faith in your kicker to make a 41-yard field goal, and he missed. And to me, that's on Jake Moody. We could talk about
decisions. Think number 9 would have made it, though?
I think so. I think so. A big kick, like he would have made that. And so, fortunately for the Niners, the darn Eagles lost too. Man, it ruined my day.
Did they? I didn't.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you didn't text me back on that one. You didn't say you didn't want to rub it in.
I didn't. I thought that was gentlemanly of you to say, hey, wow, how about the Eagles?
Right.
So
I said, you know what? If I'm going to say, wow, the Niners lost, and I got to say, because that was equally as shocking, right? The Eagles had never lost to the Jets and to only score 14 points. And so, you know what? No harm, no foul yesterday. Yeah. Both teams lost.
In today's NFL, I think it's always true now that the good teams are never quite as good as we think they are.
Right.
And the bad teams are probably, with some exceptions, probably not as bad as we think they are. But that said, I think the 49ers definitely were the better team yesterday, and they squandered one that I think they're going to, down the road, hopefully it won't sting them. But if you end up with a couple of injuries coming out of that game and you lose, I don't know. I mean, I can understand why some fans look at that and go, oh, no, it's all turning the wrong way now.
But now that makes this week's game against the Bengals that much more important, I think. You lose against.
They got the Vikings.
Oh, it's the
Monday
Vikings
night.
First. Yeah, it's the Vikings first.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be.
Yeah.
So, they at Minnesota.
Yes.
And then home against Cincinnati, is it?
Yes.
I think it is.
And then the 49ers, a lot of them, Bo says, chief among them, they don't like playing on the type of turf that they have in Minnesota.
Ooh.
And some are wondering, Tim Kawakami's wondering, are they going to hold some guys out of this game?
No way.
Some of the
Kawakami saying that?
Because the 49ers, some of them are really, they feel very strongly about playing on certain types of turf, including the type.
This is a big week for them. These next 2 weeks are big for the Niners. Yes.
Yeah. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come right back, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. What about this notion that the 49ers had that game taken from them by the officials? Taken from them.
I want to hear it from the fans on this one, Whitey. This is the fans' chance to weigh on this. I want to hear from the fans out there.
All right. Yeah, let us know what you think. It's the Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
Can the Niners build off their NFC Championship appearance from last season? How will the quarterbacks perform throughout the year?
Purdy back, now going to throw for the end zone, wide open, Brandon Ayuk is on fire!
Will
Will the defense lead this squad again?
Intercepted. Ball got tipped up and taken by Fred Warner.
Get all your 49er coverage throughout the NFL season on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hey, you. The one on the couch who just told your friend you can't go out because you're busy? Ready to get real about your psoriasis? When your current treatments don't do enough to help control the inflammation beneath the skin, causing plaques and pain, stressing and scratching, it's time to stop hiding and get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Your new home for 49ers football in the 916 Sactown Sports.
Drive Guys here to, among other things, answer your questions here on the YouTube chat. Thanks for participating. Campio Silva. Kyle, how did you hit the golf ball today?
Why you got to ask that question, man? It was a scramble, so I don't even remember. We didn't need it. Campio, he always trying to get me fired up.
Oh, I think that's a nice question. How'd you hit the ball today?
I didn't hit it at all. Let me tell you about my golf day, though, because this was tremendous. I'm playing with Alex English, Hall of Fame NBA player. I'm playing with a couple of great guys who run a CPA business, good guys that, have done very well for themselves. But then also another guy that was part of our group was my guy, Clint Oliver. He's one of those long drive guys. He competes in the national and international competitions, and he was just smacking it. So we would be on a par 5, 500 yards. He hit it about 350, 360, and we got like a wedge in or a 9-iron or something. So I was just marveling at his skills. I wasn't paying attention to my golf game. I didn't want to show him up or do anything. So I said, go ahead, Clint, we'll use your drive this time.
He was setting you up.
He was setting me up.
Scoring shots. Did you come through?
No, not at all.
No?
I don't think we used any of my shots today. But it wasn't about that, Whitey. It wasn't. I was there.
It's kind of about
not for me.
Oh, okay.
I got nothing to prove. I'm golfing with 5 other guys.
I thought it was a nice question, Campio. Things went sideways.
I never know with Campio. Where's he coming from? What's his angle, man? Maybe he got a mole or a source out at the course that saw me shank a few shots. And
maybe. Derek Vercelli says a rookie kicker who did struggle early, now faced with a game winner on the road. Not sure if he should have been expected to nail that. Although I'm with you, Derek, but if you're the coach and the guys on the team's like, that's why he's here. We got to assume he's going to make those because otherwise we can't do anything if we can't trust our kicker.
Right.
Now, if he proves we can't trust him, that's different. But for now, we set him up for the game-winning kick. We got to assume he's going to make.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, something I was alluding to earlier. It's when you look at, NCAA basketball, let's say a team is 29-0. And they haven't been tested all season long, sort of like UNLV back in the early 90s. When they're finally tested, you get to see how they respond. This was that opportunity yesterday. And so I would rather have the Niners get tested right now than the first time they get tested is the NFC Championship game on the road in Philly or something like that. And so you would hope that Jake Moody, next time he's in this position, he delivers. And so it's not all, they can't be a team full of front runners. It's not always going to be sweet. It's not going to always be easy. And so I thought, as much as bad as the Niners look and as upset our fans are today, it's okay. This is a learning thing for them. And I would imagine, for Brock Purdy to be in that kind of situation, for Jake Moody to be in that kind of situation, the hope is that they learn from that and do better next time.
So what happened here? The 49ers, as we just mentioned, they get the ball. They got the lead, a 1-point lead with 3:25 to go. Incomplete. Oh, no. Disaster. They punt the ball back to the Browns. But then the Browns are facing a 3rd and 10. So, wow, the defense holds. You're good. Obviously, in that situation, they probably would go for it on 4th down. 3rd and 10, there's an incompletion, and then you get the unsportsmanlike on, was it Gibson for the helmet-to-helmet? I'll be completely honest here. I know a lot of people are saying it was the worst call they've ever seen. I was watching with people that said that was a terrible call. When I saw it, my first thought was, you can't hit a guy like that in that situation because there's a good chance they're going to throw a flag, whether they should or not.
I 100% agree with you, Whitey. Watching that play, I thought the receiver was defensive. The receiver was in the air.
And it's incomplete. Now, I know that's hard. It's, it happens full speed. You don't know all that, but still.
And I don't know. I forget who the rules official was that was on the broadcast. Was it Dean Blandino? Yeah. And I thought he said it should have been a clean hit. Like, it shouldn't have been a flag. And I totally disagreed with him. In real speed, watching that the first time, I see why the officials made that call.
I do too. To me, at least 9 times out of 10, they're going to throw a flag. Whether they should or not, that's a different discussion. But knowing that, how do you put yourself and your team in harm's way by doing that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know Shanahan was upset, and a lot of fans, we just talked to somebody earlier, said that's a terrible call. Now, the holding call a couple plays later, holding or pass interference on Ward, that also kept the drive alive. To me, that was very iffy. That was a very iffy call. It's like, and it's weird because you see the game last night, as someone mentions on the text line, where the Giants have a guy held, Darren Waller's held in the end zone. He could have won the game with a catch, and the officials decide, we just called PI. We're not going to call it again. So the fact that you get some ticky-tack calls in one game and then blatant PI is allowed in another, it's confusing, but ultimately I'm not on board with the idea that the officials took the game from the 40.
I was going to ask you that because I'm looking at the penalty numbers, 12 penalties, 105 yards for the Niners. The Browns whistled for 13 penalties, 119 yards. So both teams were sloppy out there. Both teams were undisciplined out there. Sure, the Niners were victims of some bad calls late that gave the Browns some extra oomph, if you will, some extra yardage to help them march down the field and get that field goal. But you still had a chance to win. And if you do what you're supposed to do, if Brock Purdy doesn't throw the interception, if Ayuk makes a couple of grabs, if Jake Moody makes just one field goal instead of the 2 he missed, if he makes one of those, you win the game. If Kyle Shanahan does a better job clock management late in that game as well. And so for all those people that, want to cry and whine about the officials, I'm sorry. This isn't 2002 Kings-Lakers where, the Lakers took 27 free throws in the fourth quarter. There were bad calls both ways, and a lot of the calls against the Niners were well-deserved, I thought.
I want to blame the officials, but I can't. I can't honestly. I would love to be able to. I can't. I know a lot of 49er fans are saying they robbed the 49ers. Why, by the way, speaking of penalties, I've never in my life seen so many face mask penalties, and I'm talking across the league. Yeah. Every other play, it seems like somebody's grabbing. They're hanging on there. It's like, you can't do that. And then the weirdest play of the game, or the weirdest call, was when they call, I think it was Diamador Lenore on a punt, on punt coverage, was hanging on to a Browns player. He's hanging on the face mask, and they called it on the Browns. Remember that?
Yeah.
They called it on the Browns. Yeah. And then they had to go, we got that wrong. So the officiating was a little odd.
It was suspect.
I still can't blame the officials for that.
No, you can't. And, if you're the Niners, it's a lesson to be learned. The Browns were ready, and they said they were ready, and they backed it up. Unlike the Cowboys,
in wait after bye week.
Yes, they were amped up for this one, and it all goes back to me the physicality of the line of scrimmage. This was the most physical team that the Niners had faced, and so to me, this was sort of a blueprint. Minnesota's defense isn't that good.
No.
And so they shouldn't have trouble. Cincinnati,
that could be the best defense they'll play all year.
Yeah, exactly. That could be a tough one as well. And so I just think this was a matchup where the Niners were, going to have to prove that they were going to have to win ugly, if you will. This wasn't going to be a pretty game where everything clicks, everything right, and they failed the test this week.
That's all true. I still think it could have been an easier game. You score quickly, you're up 7-0, then you get the interception. If they score a touchdown there, or even if Moody makes the first field goal and you're up 10-0 on that team, it's like boat race city. Here we come. Because you know they're not going to score a lot of points. If you go up 10-0 early, you're on your way. And then when he missed the first kick, then it was a game. Again, the 49ers doing so many things to keep Cleveland in the game.
Well, and to your point, what we saw, and this happens in all sports, once you give a team hope and they start believing, like the Browns defense started pinning their ears back. Like you can see as that game went on, the more confident they got, the more hungry they got. I mean, they started, really controlling that line of scrimmage. And to your point, if you go up 10-0, 14-0, maybe the Browns then have to pass more because we've seen that in the past. Like, Dallas, you have to abandon the run because you're down 2-3 scores. And so then it's on PJ Walker's arms. And we know, how that would have turned out. And so, no, you're right to an extent. The Niners could have extended that lead to 14-0, and maybe that's a whole different ballgame.
And how many times did the Browns run the tight end screen effectively? To me, the screen, it's a little bit like a changeup in baseball, or even like the pump fake in basketball. It's like after a while, it's like, oh, okay, it shouldn't work time after time after time, right? Because it's based on an element of deception.
Yes.
And so you shouldn't be able to keep doing it. And they did. That was a tough game.
No, I thought the Browns play calling for the most part was pretty good too, in terms of, it wasn't just, handed off up the middle. They tried some trickeration, some different formations. And when against that Niners defense, you got to keep them off guard. And I felt like, the Browns did a good job of that yesterday.
49ers, they run the ball and they stopped the run. Yesterday, for the second game in a row, they didn't have a lot of success running the ball. And the 49ers did not stop the run yesterday.
Not at all.
And that is probably the most discouraging thing about yesterday. But when we come back, we have 1, 2, 3 pieces of pretty good to good news for the 49ers. Maybe if you're a Niner fan, we can help you feel a little bit better today when we come right back. Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Red Hawk Resort Casino is an entertainment experience like no other. We're the only place where you can play blackjack, then hop on an indoor card track. We're the only place with more than 2,000 of the hottest slots and a state-of-the-art 18-lane bowling center. And now with a world-class sports bar and a resort hotel to stay after you play. Is it any wonder we've been voted best over 100 times? We're Red Hawk Resort Casino, official casino partner of the Sacramento Kings.
The City of Sacramento offers grass conversion rebates to help you replace your thirsty lawn with a naturally water-efficient landscape. Whether you own a home or business in Sacramento, you may be eligible. Learn more at sacwaterwise.com.
Model Year End pricing is back at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
During the Model Year End event, lower interest rates at Folsom Lake Honda make lower payments. It's no wonder why Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. Come in today or check out our entire inventory online at folsomlakehonda.com.
Get an instant cash offer for your trade at folsomlakehonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Go to folsomlakehonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave asking you, are you feeling the pain of paying more and more for your gas? PG&E has increased their rates 4 times in the last 5 years, and the new forecast says PG&E customers may see their bills increase 32% by 2026. The good thing is there are steps you can take to protect yourself from these rate hikes, and better yet, American Energy may be able to help you completely eliminate your gas bill with a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. Did you know SMUD offers huge rebates to eliminate your old gas guzzler? They can help
help you guide through the whole process. Seriously, listen to me. You go to the SMUD website. There's tons of rebates available, but it is confusing on how to do it. Listen to these rebates. $2,500 from American Energy, $3,500 from SMUD, $1,000 from Caltech, $2,000 home system upgrades. That's $9,000 in rebates. Let American Energy help you out at 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Monday, I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Despite an electric fourth quarter and OT minutes last night, the Beam team still unable to find that win column, falling 121-115 to the Warriors.
The Warriors get the win to stay 3-0 in the preseason, and the Kings are now 0-3 in the preseason.
Kings will head to San Francisco to square off with the Warriors once again for Wednesday's I-80 matchup. Keep it locked right here to Sactown Sports so we can get you laced up before then. And over the weekend, no NFL teams remain undefeated as the Jets outmaneuvered the Eagles.
The Jets 20, the Eagles 14. For the first time in Jets history, they beat Philadelphia.
And the Niners stumbled to the Browns 19-17.
Jake has it away. He has the distance, and it is no good. Jake Moody missed the kick, and the 49ers lose.
Of course, we're closing up the Week 6 books tonight with Monday Night Football as the Cowboys tangle with the Chargers. Our pregame coverage locks in at 4:30 with kickoff slated for 5:15 right here on Sactown Sports. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to the Drive, guys.
Sactown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Whitey Gleason and Kyle Draper. What's the deal, Kyle Draper? The Kings play the Warriors like 17 times in the next 12 days or something. What is going on?
Adam Silver, I don't know what he's doing. It's upsetting me because you obviously know I hate the Warriors. Not a Warriors fan. I've gone on record as saying that. And the fact that we got to see them again on Wednesday and then 3 times in the first 3 weeks of the regular season, it's just too much. I get it, rivalry and everything like that, but I'm tired of seeing them right now, you know?
Kind of like to have those games spaced out. That's it. They're trying to get a little juice going for viewership early in the season, right? Oh, it's a great rivalry.
Right.
Kings and Warriors again.
Yeah.
And again. And again. And again.
You're right about that. Yeah, I don't get what they were thinking with that, especially because you got to imagine come towards the end of the season, these teams will be battling for position, battling for the division as well. And so,
that's not what Hollinger says.
Right. But, it's only one more game after, mid-November or whatever it is, their last time they play one more time. It's ridiculous.
Hey, can you tell us what happened last night with Draymond? Because I saw some video and I don't know what your duties were, where maybe you weren't out there when he came out on the floor, but it looked like there was a lot of back and forth between Draymond and the fans.
No, I didn't notice that. Okay. I didn't get to see it.
Someone posted video where he was going back and forth with the fan, just a lot of yelling and pointing, and he was kind of just basking in their, insults. So I was wondering if you had just
I missed that one, but wouldn't be surprised. He's a guy that thrives off of that, feeds off of that.
I'll have to double check on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we did, as promised, come up with 3 pieces of what I think are good news for 49er fans. You tell me.
All right, let me hear.
Yeah, we have, and some of this we've mentioned already. Shanahan said that Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are day-to-day. Deebo has the shoulder injury, which that was like a 3rd and 23 play where I've heard some suggest, like, why is Deebo running the ball? No wonder he got hurt. Why is Deebo running the ball on 3rd and 23? But anyway, he hurt his shoulder. Day-to-day Trent Williams, day-to-day with that ankle. Boy, that looked bad when it happened.
It did. And the fact that he came back in the game, I was shocked. It could have been much worse. So, yes, that they dodged one on that.
Yeah, Williams' injury is, according to Matt Barrows, It's an ankle sprain, not the dreaded high ankle sprain. So that's better news than it could be. We're still awaiting details on Christian McCaffrey's status and his injury, ribs and oblique. And there's also this. I don't know if this is really good news. I think it's not bad news. Dan Orlovsky said today that he still thinks Brock Purdy is elite. So that's what he said. That's good news, right?
I don't know if he's elite, though. I don't.
But Dan Orlovsky says
Dan Orlovsky said it.
Good
that's
news.
the stamp of approval right there. And so, I thought this yesterday's game, was a chance for Brock Purdy to really. I've been talking about lead his team down the field, 2-minute drill, all that hostile environment. I thought it was really an opportunity for him to do that, and he almost pulled it off. But what I saw yesterday further illustrated to me and further reaffirmed my belief that without CMC and Debo and all the weapons, I don't know how good Brock Purdy is. And you can say that about a lot of quarterbacks. But
your guy had some help last year.
Exactly. Yeah. And from what the look of it, he's regressed this year. Like, he's not playing well, talking about Jalen Hurts this year. But that's why I think a Mahomes, a Josh Allen, those kind of guys somehow, when things aren't going your way, when you don't have all the weapons, they make plays. They just make winning plays. And I thought watching that game, and I think I texted you this, in the third quarter, I thought Brock Purdy looked shook out there. I thought he looked like a defeated guy, a guy that didn't have answers, instead of a guy that's, motivating his squad, rallying his troops, being that leader out there. I thought at times he looked like a guy that was lost, that was questioning. He didn't have the answers. He didn't know. And so he looked like a defeated quarterback at times, I thought, in that second half. He looked shook, is what I said to you.
It is. It's exactly what you said. That was after I texted to you, and I was kidding. Purdy is the worst. Put Darnold in. And you said, that's what I've been trying to tell you.
Obviously, I was just messing with you. But, yeah, I just thought, you know what? No CMC, no Debo. All right, Brock, you got to make plays to get it done. And he was abysmal in that second half. I mean, outside of that final drive, that 49ers offense, I don't know how you explain it, Whitey.
The thing that was bad about Brock Purdy yesterday, was he worse because he didn't have Debo and Christian McCaffrey? Well, in some ways, sure. But aside from that, putting that aside, there were a couple throws yesterday he had to make that were easy enough throws, whether those guys were there or not, that he just missed.
Right. And you know, they did a close up of the way the ball is coming out of his hands and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
It just didn't look clean coming out. And so he missed some throws, and maybe it's one of those days. We'll see, obviously we'll see what happens against Minnesota this week, but this was his chance. This was his MVP kind of opportunity, right?
There were plays to be made,
yes.
And he could make them, and he wasn't able to. Now, one, in all fairness, Ayuk dropped a pass or had a pass go off his hands. That would have been a touchdown. Purdy put the ball, for the most part, on the money there. But the thing about the 49er offense, the running, the pre-snap motion, they're setting up the big plays, the big shots down the field. So when you get the big shot, boom, you have to convert. That's one of the things Shanahan said yesterday. We had two big plays to be made in the first half, and we didn't make either one of them. And when that happens repeatedly with this offense, then things start to stall.
Yeah.
And Brock didn't make the throws that he had to make yesterday.
But it's so surprising, because we never thought we'd see that from this offense. It had been such a well-oiled machine. Even the first drive, like you said, after the turnover as well, they had a chance. And so give the Browns a whole lot of credit. Give Jim Schwartz credit.
Yeah.
But I'm still shocked that the Niners looked as bad as they did. I'm crunching some numbers right here on Brock Purdy. So in the first half, he was 7 of 12 for 72 yards passing. In the second half, mind you, he was 5 of 15 for 53 yards.
That's not very good, is it?
That's not. That's not very good. And so, I wonder, when you look at this Niners offense, and we'll see what happens with Debo, we'll see what happens with CMC. Do they need another receiver also? Could they use another offensive weapon? Because I'm looking at it, I don't know if Ray's the guy. I don't know. I feel like they could use one more offensive weapon. You got Ayuk, you got Debo, and you have CMC, and you got Kittle as well. But who's the other side?
The element that I think they lack. Ayuk's not slow, but they don't have that guy that can blow the top off the coverage.
Yeah,
they've had those guys in the past, and they just they end up for whatever reason not working out. So that's where they've decided to go with bigger guys who, when they play man-to-man or they get press coverage, they can get off the ball. But they don't. That's one element that I think it's fair to say they don't really have.
Is Jennings, what would you say about Jennings? Is he
he's a pretty good slot receiver. He's an above average, but he's not a 1 or a 2. And that's fine. I mean, he's a
so
really
I question their receiver
guy
depth is what I'm saying. If somebody does go down like a Debo or somebody like that, I don't know. They become, a little limited, I would think.
I think that's a great point because Ray had some opportunities yesterday, and there was they ran, I don't know what it was, but he ended up running into Trent Williams.
Right. Did you see that? Yeah.
So it looked like, Ray wasn't ready for that moment yesterday.
Right, because Debo was out, and so that was the play they usually would run for Debo, they said, and it was run for Ray, and he wasn't ready. And so that's why I wonder, maybe they could use another weapon out there.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Debo's status is. Maybe they'll have to take a look. And as we said last week, they do have cap space. The 49ers have been plagued by injuries for years. I think a lot of it is the way they play. It's such a physical style. Some of it's just bad luck. But my point is this. I'm sure that going into this season, they sat down, Lynch and Shanahan, and they're thinking, how can we make sure that if somebody does get hurt, that we can deal with it, especially after what happened last year in the NFC Championship game. So I think that's one reason they have this cap space, because they know that as much as they build with the idea of being competitive every year, this might be their best chance. Yeah. So they want to have options if they do need to make moves.
No, and that's smart, because like we saw last year, they talked about bringing in, who was it? Big Ben, I think, was being mentioned as a quarterback that you try maybe bring in, once guys get hurt. And so now you have the cap space to go out there. Phillip Rivers was too. Yes. Thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah, and so I think that's why they are holding this cap space, because this is a long season. And so, we've been talking about CMC, as great as he is, another touchdown yesterday, but Kyle may have to dial him back just a little bit, because CMC to me is like a star NBA player. You're at a point now where I don't want to say you load manage him, but you have to have him ready for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And so, maybe you don't, have him carry the ball 22 times a game. Maybe, you rely on Elijah Mitchell a little more. I know CMC is so good. It's hard to, say, what, we're not going to give it to him as much because he's so great. But you don't want this guy breaking down, especially if, like you said, people are targeting him and they're trying to take some shots on him and trying to be extra physical with him.
And Kyle, to your point about the receivers, was 2 years ago, I think. And that's not long, but in football years, 2 years is a long time. But right about this time of year, they were interested in Odell Beckham Jr.
Yes.
And he didn't want to come to the 49ers because at that time it looked like they're not very good.
Right.
Then they turned their season around, but he ended up going to the Rams.
Yeah.
So they have that interest in wide receivers in the recent past. So something to keep an eye on when we come right back here. Should Chris Duarte be a starter for the Kings? He was last night. How long is that going to last? Drive Guys back with more on that. Sactown Sports.
Has Monty put together a roster that can help make a deep playoff run this season?
Just trying to give coach options, give him guys that can help us win in a variety of areas. Obviously, our top guys are going to play every game, but there's going to be other times, whether it's injuries, matchups, we've got to have some variety on the bench for coach to point to and say, go in there and help us win.
Tune into every Kings game this season
on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com. Sacramento weather is brought to you by Bonnie.
I'm Mark Finan in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Clouds will continue to stream across the area tonight, but they'll be clearing for tomorrow. Beautiful day tomorrow. Sunshine to the high of 85. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
Imagine taking a nice warm bath in your shower. Let us fix that. Right now, get that clogged drain unclogged for just $97. Bonnie. Plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com. Some restrictions apply. License 696-355.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Folsom Lake Ford has trucks. The F-150s are here. Explorers, Expeditions, and a huge selection of Broncos and Bronco Sports. They're in stock now at Folsom Lake Ford. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters, right here in Sacramento for your favorite Ford models at good, fair prices. Short on cash? Buy any new Ford with 0 down. Save big with low interest finance rates. Plus, Folsom Lake Ford is paying top dollar for all trades. We want your vehicle regardless of mileage or condition. This could be the best time to buy a new Ford. Check out the huge inventory online at FolsomLakeFord.com or stop by the dealership and see the most recent arrivals. Looking for something special? Give them a call and tell them Doug Christie sent you. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall, your trusted dealer, my trusted dealer for over 30 years. FolsomLakeFord.com.
0 down with approved credit.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
When you have the smartest listeners in radio sometimes, I'm not tongue-in-cheek or what's going on from CK916. Maybe the 49ers will trade for Jerry Jeudy.
He said, would not surprise me.
Huh. Yeah, that would be a funny joke, but I'm not sure he's joking.
No, I think he's
Mark Schlereth is the latest to go all in on Jerry Jeudy and say, what was the term he used? He said he's just they're
piling on Jeudy now, huh?
Yeah, the way he's playing.
Wow.
After Steve Smith took him down last week.
Open season on Jerry Jeudy, I guess.
And we also have some 49er fans not thrilled about the officiating. Chris Wright, that was one of the worst ref games I can remember seeing. It wasn't just the missed calls. It was getting things wrong, stuttering out your calls, etc. They just looked like they had never officiated. Yeah, they just didn't seem like they had command of the situation yesterday. But Derek says if Niner fans are hinging 1 or 2 bad calls on winning or not, then they just didn't play well enough that day. Also, the Niners got the bad calls in their favor throughout the year. It's just part of the game.
Just part of I'm not going to sit here and cry about the officiating.
Well, no, because you're glad that it went against the 49ers.
No, well, I don't take any glee in the Niners losing. That's not who I am. I texted you. I didn't say, ha, 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 look at it. That's not how I roll, Niners fans. You know, it's like I don't kick people when they're down. I was very excited to walk in here into this studio and say, you know what? We all saw the game. The tape doesn't lie. What happened yesterday happened. So you don't need drapes piling on. Niners fans already feel bad enough about their squad after yesterday. And then I don't have room to talk because my guys lost. And so, you know what? It was one of those weird days, Niners fans. Mm-hmm. That's it. I'm not going to know.
I actually think your team has reason to feel not as bad about their loss as the 49ers should feel about theirs.
Why do you say that?
Because the 49ers played a team that had a quarterback they just called off the practice squad and was in the XFL, and he played fine, but I mean, there's just no way the Browns could move the ball yesterday any other way than by running the ball, and they had a surprising success with that. And as we said last week, I think we both agreed, 17, that could do. I think you said that, but I think we agreed 21's going to win this game, right?
Yeah.
And we said, the 49ers can score 21.
Right.
And they didn't.
That Browns team, that Browns offense is worse than the Jets.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so too. And give the Browns all the credit in the world because they overperformed, but still the 49ers should have won that game. They handed it to the Browns on the silver platter. What did you think of the pregame
scuffle?
Yeah.
I think that set the tone.
And I'm trying to figure I still haven't been able to figure out
I'm not sure exactly
what
why,
happened.
like how it started or who said what or anything, but I think that sort of set the tone. It was on the Niners side, though, right? Like, if I'm correct, I think the Browns were doing a little chirping. They were trying to send a message before the game. And to me, they were doing whatever they needed to do to get themselves ready. All week long, talking in the media, talking about they're ready. And then they brought it on the field on yesterday. I think that was them just, trying to punk the Niners a little bit, trying to get in their head a little bit, trying to hype themselves up a little bit. And it worked.
I guess so.
It worked.
Accomplished.
Yes, exactly. And I think the Niners, it's sort of like a boxer. When you have the weigh in and you're staring them down and maybe you shove them or something like that, like you try to punk them early on. Try to take their heart early on. Try to show your dominance, especially in a physical way early on. And I think that's what happened in the game is that, you know what? The Browns thought they were the more physical team. They probably thought that all week long. They thought it during pregame warmups, and they thought it during the game.
Well, we know that typically certain times of year in the winter, there's a lot of snowballs in Minnesota. That's where the 49ers go next, and they just have to make sure that this thing, whatever it is, doesn't snowball. They got to win next week.
You got to win next
Monday
week.
And win.
Yeah, you got to win next week. The schedule gets a little tougher here over the next 3 weeks. I do want to, I'm looking at the Jets schedule as we were talking about the Eagles losing. The Jets aren't necessarily a bad team.
I would agree with that.
Like, they aren't great. They aren't contenders or anything, but they're not as bad as we thought they were going to be early. I'm looking at this schedule. They lose in overtime to Buffalo week 1. They get blown out at Dallas. They lose by 5 against New England.
New England's only win.
New England's only win. But then they lose by 3 to Kansas City. They beat up on Denver, won by 10, and they beat Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when they play against elite competition, Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, they're in these games or they win these games. And so give Zach Wilson a lot of credit. He's playing a little bit better than he was at the start of the season. And so I just think this Jets team, you know what? There's not much shame losing to them, let's say.
And did you see who was on the sidelines yesterday?
Oh, your boy, Aaron Rodgers.
Passes.
Yes.
Not my boy.
I know,
buddy.
not your boy. I know. Sorry. I would have put him.
That's all right. Just want to clarify.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming back, right? According to him.
According to him,
yeah. Especially if his team starts winning now and they might have something to play for. But he was there. And the Jets, they took it to the Eagles. You talk about the physicality. I thought in the second half, they were the more physical team against the Eagles.
Well, and I think that also applies, as you said, to the Browns 49ers. And on the 49ers side, that's going to be really disappointing, right?
Right.
We got out physicaled by the Browns.
By the Cleveland freaking Browns. And so, fortunately, like you said, they played the Minnesota Vikings, whose defense isn't that good. They're not a physical kind of team. But, when you look at the Niners schedule, it does get a little more difficult the rest of the way. I mean, when you start talking, obviously you got the Vikings coming up. And then you have the Cleveland Browns coming up, pulling up the rest of the schedule right here. And then
Cincinnati Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals, I meant. Minnesota, Cincinnati, at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a very physical team. Tampa Bay, then the gauntlet at Seattle, at Philly, Seattle again.
Seattle's a couple wins, but the Philly game's going to be tough.
That's going to be a tough one. And then traveling to Jacksonville. We'll see about Trevor Lawrence in his situation. That could be a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 49ers got to hope their kicker gets things straight.
Yes.
Their quarterback gets things straight, and their superstar offensive players get healthy. all of a sudden, it's fair to say right now, some of these issues that they're dealing with in the preseason, and they put them behind them, and now some of them starting to rear their ugly heads again, like a whack-a-mole.
Yeah, I want to make this quick point because Brock Purdy, I've gone in hard on him.
Have you?
Yes,
okay.
Just a little bit. So me and my son are at a card store yesterday, Whitey. And I'm like, oh, look at this, a Brock Purdy rookie card. I thought about buying it. And the guy was like, man, those are hot right now. I was like, really? How much is it? $50, $25? He said $150. I'm like, for a Brock Purdy rookie card? Who the heck is he? Dan Marino or something? And so I'll say this, your boy is hot. I mean, this was before the game yesterday, but man, Purdy mania is real.
You're going to regret not making that purchase. Or go back today and say,
right.
I'll give you $40.
Right? Exactly.
Did your son pick up any cards?
No, he didn't. It was he's waiting on the new basketball cards to come out with the Wembanyama's and that kind of thing. And they say that's coming out early November. So he's waiting on
I've got mine ordered already.
Oh, you pre-ordered? Oh, you like that?
I got a good price.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Hook me up, man. Let me know how you did that.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk. Maybe resale. I can resell it to you and make a few. We'll figure something out. Yeah, Wemby, obviously, people are crazy about Wemby.
Yes.
We'll get back to the Kings today before we're done. We're taking you up to Monday Night Football. I think the Chargers and Cowboys has a chance to be a terrific, very entertaining game.
A must win, I think, too, for Dallas.
Yeah, and when we come right back, Brock Purdy is human, but how did the 49ers lose to P.J. Walker? Still trying to figure that out with your help today. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Who do they decide on for the Super Bowl?
What do you mean, halftime act?
Yeah. I know that Taylor Swift.
Yeah, turned him down, right?
At what point do people turn on Taylor Swift and be like, why don't you lower your prices? And I understand the whole Ticketmaster thing, but what about the merch? Like, legit, do you have to make $1 billion? Could you make $500 million? Could you?
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on Sactown Sports.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
It ignites something inside of you.
Lightning and the thunder.
It's a new era in entertainment. Experience legendary performers like never before. All new and all incredible. This is the venue. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
At Elk Grove Honda, not only do we have a great selection of pre-owned certified cars at very fair prices, but every one of our pre-owned automobiles are treated with kid gloves with a 182-point inspection that covers everything from unibody to tires to brakes and engine filters. Then our certified cars receive a mobile oil change and fresh fill-up with full synthetic mobile oil. We know you have lots of choices of where to purchase your next car. Come to Elk Grove Honda, home of the 182-point inspection and mobile oil change. We're in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 at Elk Grove Boulevard.
I love being a bartender. I love waiting tables. But at the end of my shift, my feet were killing me. And so I had to pretend like I was having a good time. And really, I couldn't wait to sit down. But it wasn't just my feet. It was also my knees were achy. A lot of neck pain, too. I was in so much pain. I kind of lost hope, really. And then I saw the Good Feet store, and that's when everything changed.
For over 20 years, we've helped people like Kristen enjoy their work again without their feet getting in the way.
It was pretty shocking to realize that I'd been in so much pain, and suddenly I'm completely pain-free. Now that I have the Good Feet arch supports, I don't have to pretend to be happy. I'm genuinely happy. So, cheers. My name is Kristen, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Good Feet in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and Vacaville.
Igor, my faithful companion, it is time to prepare for the night. The shadows grow long, and the creatures of the night stir with excitement.
Yes, Master Dracula. What do you require of me?
I need you to fire up the hearse. Elk Grove Kia is having a Halloween sale that is to die for. We're going to upgrade you a new car worthy of the Prince of Darkness. I'm so excited. It is making my blood shiver.
But Master, with your credit history, aren't you worried you're going to get turned down?
Igor, shut up. Elk Grove Kia's finance department has over 100 years of experience. They can even get me approved, even with my troubled past. And Elk Grove Kia's exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on all new Kias, it's almost like having an immortal car.
Elk Grove Kia's Halloween sale is so good, it's scaring the competition. In fact, it's so scary, we can't even advertise the pricing. So whether you're in need of a new or used car, make your way to Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, or visit us at elkgrovekia.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Quick Quack Car Wash is a proud partner of the Sacramento Kings and can't wait for the upcoming season. To celebrate, Quick Quack is giving one lucky duck a pair of lower-level tickets to the Kings home opener versus Golden State on October 27th. Enter for your chance to win this epic opening night showdown by going to SactownSports.com. Be there for the Kings versus Golden State, courtesy of Quick Quack, where you can wash your car all you want with an unlimited membership.
Capital Casino, conveniently located on 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Take it on the local level.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Monday, I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Despite an electric fourth quarter and OT minutes last night, the Beam team still unable to find that win column, falling 121-115 to the Warriors.
The Warriors get the win to stay 3-0 in the preseason, and the Kings are now 0-3 in the preseason.
Kings will head to San Francisco to square off with the Warriors once again for Wednesday's I-80 matchup. Keep it locked right here to Sactown Sports so we can get you laced up before then. And over the weekend, no NFL teams remain undefeated as the Jets outmaneuvered the Eagles.
The Jets 20, the Eagles 14. For the first time in Jets history, they beat Philadelphia.
And the Niners stumbled to the Browns 19-17.
Jake has it away. He has the distance, and it is no good. Jake Moody missed the kick, and the 49ers lose.
Of course, we're closing up the Week 6 books tonight with Monday Night Football as the Cowboys tangle with the Chargers. Our pregame coverage locks in at 4:30 with kickoff slated for 5:15 right here on Sactown Sports. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to the Drive, guys.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
I'll admit two things right now. First of all, when I saw the final score of the Eagles-Jets game, I was very happy.
Really?
I was very happy.
What?
Because I knew that I was not looking forward to coming in and having an Eagle fan rejoice in how the 49ers had lost. And then I realized that I know an Eagle fan, and I knew that, wow, he's not going to be able to do that. Obviously, that kind of took that rug right from under you there with the
It
Eagles
did.
also losing.
But I'm okay. I'll save it for December
Yeah.
4th,
That-
our show after December 3rd. Yeah, I'll save it for then.
So I admit I was happy to see that. Also yesterday, right before Jake Moody lined up for that kick, I was watching with my family, my wife and her sister and brother-in-law and my mother-in-law, and I said, I don't think he's going to make this kick. And I don't know why.
You had that feeling?
Yes. And oh, you jinxed him. And if I said he was going to make it and he missed it, oh, you jinxed him. But I just had that feeling. Maybe it's because he had missed the other one. And you know how it is too. This is dumb, but when they show that angle from behind the kicker, it looks like it's so far. It's just the TV effect. I just had a feeling, he's not going to nail this one. I'd lost my faith in Jake Moody.
Already.
I did. I have to admit.
He just had his first 2 misses yesterday.
I know.
Off the Jake Moody bandwagon already.
Yeah, and I was in front of that sucker. By the way, speaking of football, Sacramento State football back at home this Saturday night for a nationally televised primetime game versus Montana State. Kickoff 7:30. Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. And then also last night we had the Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. Kyle Draper with the call along with Katie Christensen. Interestingly, as you pointed out in Drape's Takes, Chris Duarte in the starting lineup.
Yes.
Now, you had seen him running with the ones last week in practice,
Yes,
right?
in practice. When I went on Friday, he was playing with the ones, and I noticed Kevin Herter was playing with the twos, and I said, Mike Brown might shake things up for Sunday, and he sure did. And I thought Duarte looked really good out there with that first unit. When you look at Domas, Keegan, and De'Aaron Fox, they're going to get the majority of your shots, majority of your offense. But who's going to be the guy that guards the perimeter play? You got Harrison Barnes. Yes, he'll do so. But I felt like you needed another defender. And I think that's why Mike Brown turned to Chris Duarte. Duarte, 5 points, a couple of assists. But I thought he played great defense on Klay Thompson. Klay made some difficult shots, but Duarte was right there. The thing for Duarte is going to be offensively. As a rookie, I pulled up his numbers. As a rookie, he was a 37% three-point shooter.
That works.
His second year, obviously injury riddled, out of the rotation, 31.6%.
No bueno.
Not good. Exactly. And so Mike Brown has to weigh whether Duarte's defense is more valuable than Kevin Herter's offense in that starting lineup.
That's what it comes down to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If Duarte is a decent to good offensive player, has a very good chance of starting.
Right.
And if he's not giving you anything offensively, you probably can't start him.
Yeah, and with that being said, this Kings starting unit, talking about with Kevin Herter, was one of the best starting fives in the NBA last season. But what the issue is, Kevin Herter has not looked like the Kevin Herter that we saw during the regular season last year. Whether it was in the playoffs or so far in the preseason, he just doesn't seem to be himself out there. And so I want to know, how long does Mike Brown stick with Kevin Herter? I'm a firm believer in trying to build somebody up. If you take him out of the starting lineup, might you lose him? Might his confidence become even more shot? And so we'll see what happens come Wednesday. They got back-to-back games, Wednesday and Thursday. Duarte, I'm not sure if he's going to play. Remember, he left the game yesterday with that knee soreness, they called it. We'll see if he actually plays. But if Duarte continues to start this preseason, that would be a huge sign for me that Herter's out of the rotation, out of the starting five.
It suggests to me that Mike Brown looks at this team and says, we have to be better. We had a great year, but we have to be better. We can't just run it back. If we're going to be better, we have to be better defensively. So he's looking for anybody that can help him in that regard.
Yeah, and I was talking to, one assistant coach about this a little bit ago, and he was saying, when you look at the Kings roster, in the NBA, really to be successful, you need multiple two-way players. Draymond, Klay when he was healthy, Wiggins, those kind of guys, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, those kind of guys. The Kings don't have multiple two-way players. And I got to imagine if a Mike Brown, a Monty McNair, those are the kind of guys you want to get. But those guys don't grow on trees. It's not like you could just, go out there and snatch somebody up. And so I think when you look at this roster for Mike Brown, he's looking at the best two-way players to be on the floor for him.
I think you can see that went into some of their Well, I was going to say went into some of their offseason acquisitions as well, but I don't know that Vezenkov is a two-way player. But I think that's one of the reasons they picked Colby Jones, one of the reasons they liked him. Potentially he could be that. And then Duarte certainly can be that.
Yeah, you're right. And, one guy we haven't mentioned, Sasha. What did you think of Sasha yesterday? His home debut, I would have liked to seen more from Sasha. He just didn't seem to be much of a factor out there last night.
Yeah, he was 1 for 4, missed all 3 of his threes. Yeah. And he's another guy kind of similar to Herder in the sense that if you're not getting much from him offensively, you're probably not getting much, period.
Right, exactly. And so I think, if you're Mike Brown, you're looking at this rotation. We know how good offensively this team can be, but obviously you want to improve defensively. But what are you going to do with Herder? What are you going to do with Sasha? Who's their defense hasn't been to where, I would imagine that the coach would like. I mean, these guys got to play, but is Herder coming off the bench going forward? Then you have a great offensive team coming off the bench, maybe, but then you don't have any defense other than Davion coming. And so, I look at this roster. There's a lot of talent. I'm of the belief, if I'm Mike Brown, I still start Kevin Herder. Just because I think when you need the defense, you could turn to Duarte. You can pair him up with some other guys as well. But if you have the potential to lose Kevin Herder, what does he become? This was a guy that, was a 40% three-point shooter. Now you're relegating him to maybe 18 minutes a night or something like that off the bench. What does that do for his confidence? And so I think if you want to maximize Kevin Herder, he stays in the starting lineup.
One of the reasons I want to maximize him is because down the road, if he could be a tradable piece, and I'm not looking to trade him.
Come on, why do you talk? Dude, it's October 16th, and we're talking trades already.
We're talking big picture. We're talking about the fact that Duarte could be a guy who can start at that position. And if I feel like, wow, he's going to give me more defensively, Kevin Herder potentially is an asset. Potentially. I'm not saying, well, I got to get rid of that guy. But I'm just saying, if that's part of the equation, his value is going to be higher if he's a starter. That's one reason why I would start him over Duarte. Just potentially. One thing I'm thinking about. That's
what, just for trade value?
Well, that's part of it. Why, when it comes down to who do I start of these two guys, I would start Herder. I'm not trading Duarte. Herder, if he starts and he becomes a piece I can move, I think he has more value. But it's just, I'm not looking to trade him. I'm just telling you, I'm thinking big picture.
Don't count it now, Whitey.
Picture.
Don't
I'm not counting
backpedal like Deion Sanders out there right now.
I'm not backpedaling. I'm just telling you, Kevin Herder is not a good enough defender for my team. He can shoot. Right now, he's not shooting well. So if I have a guy that I know I can plug in there who's going to give me better defense, I'm very interested in doing that. What do I do with Herder? Does he come off the bench? Like you said, Kevin Herder off the bench, he might not want to do that, might not be as effective. I'm going to start him, and if he's hot and Duarte's playing well too, then I've got an option. If Duarte doesn't play well, then Herder's my starter.
All right, big picture.
Big picture, baby.
As a coach, you probably shouldn't think like this, but I'm a believer. And if you go have a conversation with a guy and say you're coming off the bench, it may be more trouble than it's worth. If you have a Duarte who would be like, okay, he feels like that's his role already.
Yeah, yes,
so,
exactly.
You don't want to upset the apple cart or ruin the chemistry or the vibes around your team. So it may not even be worth it for Mike Brown to have that conversation with us.
So what's your guess as to why? And I know Mike Brown, when he's asked, he says, and there's some truth to this, he says, I'm moving a lot of guys around here. It's preseason. But is that really the only reason why Duarte has been starting?
I think that's a big reason why.
I think they're sending a message.
But if Kevin Herder was playing like Kevin Herder at the beginning of last season, I don't think this would be an issue. Dude, we all watch the same games. We all got eyes. We see what's happening out there. You could ask Kevin Herder, and kudos to him. He stood up last night after the game, answered all the questions about the starting spot, his role, and all that. Kudos to him. But we all see that he's not playing to his capabilities yet. We see he's struggling a little bit right now. And so as a coach, Mike Brown sees that also. And so why not give Chris Duarte a shot? But I don't think Mike is going to abandon Kevin Huerter just yet in that starting lineup.
No, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see, especially if Duarte's hurt. And that's the thing with him. He's always getting hurt.
I'm not going that far. We're always getting hurt.
He has let me rephrase that. Chris Duarte has an injury history. He has a tendency to be injured so far in his career. In his 2 years, he's been in the league 2 years, and both those years he's been injured. That's a fact. It's not I'm not criticizing him. I love the guy.
But you kind of are. And this was, I was thinking about this driving in about this. What's he supposed to do about it? It's not like he's meaning to go out there and get hurt or anything. Like, this hopefully is nothing more than, a bruise in his back or anything like that. But I don't want to start labeling the guy injury prone just yet.
I didn't say injury prone, but it's a fact that he has been hurt in each of his first 2 years. As part of this year, it's big for him. He's got to prove that he can play. I talked to him about that. He said that. He knows that.
All right.
You think I'm coming after these guys?
I just, I don't, don't come after my guys. That's all I'm saying. Don't come after my guys.
We'll take a quick timeout when we come right back. From 2 unbeatens to 5 one-loss teams, how the complexion of this NFL season shifted dramatically yesterday. Drive Guys heading down the home stretch here on Sactown Sports.
Can Mike Brown build on last season's Coach of the Year award? Can the Kings exceed 48 wins?
We will be better prepared to make the run that we expect to run come next playoff.
Tune into every Kings game this season on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Hey, at Total Wine & More, you'll love what you find this Halloween.
Me thirsty.
Oh, hey, Frankenstein. Did you enjoy that Cabernet?
Oh, good. What margarita?
Well, all the villagers are raving about this tequila.
Ooh.
And we have it at the lowest price in town.
Economical.
Find what you love and love what you find with the totally lowest prices for Halloween. Only at Total Wine & More. Now open in Vacaville at Nut Tree Plaza.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave letting you know Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room and primetime football location is back. Cap Casino giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game, offering the best food, best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region and conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Check it out. Capital Casino. And as always, please remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
Yeah, and Sacramento State football's back at home this Saturday night for a nationally televised prime-time game versus Montana State. Kickoff 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets at HornetSports.com. Taking you up to Monday Night Football. Drive Guys. He's Kyle Draper. I'm Whitey Gleason. We're arguing about the Kings. Kyle thinks I'm coming after his guys. I'm not coming after your guys.
It's only preseason, Whitey. You're talking about trading Kevin Huerter.
Potentially.
Chris Duarte's injury prone. I mean, what the heck? I can't let you get away with that.
All right. Just for the record. Well, I'm now it's going to sound like I'm coming after Chris Duarte, who played 55 games his first year and 46 his second. So all I'm saying is, wow, he's got to prove this year he can stay healthy. You know who else says that? Chris Duarte says that. So are you going to go after him like you're coming after me?
He can say it. I'll let him say it.
Things shifted quite a bit in the NFL yesterday, didn't they? At least it appears they did at the top of the NFC.
Yeah, and give the Lions credit, right? They're right there with the Niners and the Eagles, at 5-1. And so you look at the standings right now, I always thought it was just a 2-team race, and I'm still not 100% on board with the Lions, but no, you're right. Some things shook up. Niners losing on the road, Eagles losing on the road. As much as I'm an Eagles fan, I'm also a realist. The Eagles might have 4 or 5 losses this season. Like, their schedule is tough. What they got? Miami coming up next week. Like, they have they still got Buffalo. They have to face the Niners as well. Seattle. I just think their schedule is so difficult, Whitey. And so, it might not be the Eagles that we see of last year. They may have to go on the road early in the playoffs. I look at them as, 17 games. They might be a 13-4, 12-5 kind of team.
I know that the Cowboys have a lot of struggles offensively, and they just got destroyed. They got their hearts plucked out of their chests and held before them by the 49ers last week. But with the Eagles and the 49ers both losing yesterday, if Dallas were to win tonight against the Chargers, all of a sudden they're a game back.
They're a game back.
So
exactly.
Like, we caught a break there.
Exactly. You know, we're ready to, bench Dak Prescott, trade them. Cowboys, we said it last week. They were broken. The Niners broke the Cowboys. We'll find out tonight. But, that shows you what the NFL is like, right? 1 week you're up. You're the greatest thing since sliced bread. The next week, we got an issue.
And that's why I'm sure it applies to the Eagles too, but for the 49ers, so discouraging when you give one away that you had right there, and you gave that game away against a good team defensively that played hard. And they played about as well as they could play. The Browns did, but the 49ers still gave that one away.
Yeah. And I think
you agree with that.
I agree that early on they did, but then the Browns took it. Like the Browns had to do something with it. And I thought that defense got better and better and more hungry. And so, the Niners gave it away by not capitalizing early. They gave it away with some drops and some missed passes, but the reason why you had the drops, the reason why you had Brock Purdy not looking sharp is because the Browns defense was laying the wood down. And so give the Browns some credit. I do. Give them, they came in, they had a great game plan defensively. You talked about Jim Schwartz's success against Kyle Shanahan. I thought, the front seven of the Browns played extremely well, especially in the pass game. The secondary, there were times guys weren't, usually we're used to seeing a number of Niners run free and open. It happened a few times, but I thought the Browns coverage guys were pretty good.
I think a big part of that, my understanding is that the Browns played a lot of man.
Yes.
A lot of man-to-man that the 49ers weren't expecting, and they did a good job. So, a lot of times when Brock is throwing to those guys wide open, they're finding holes in the zone. And yesterday it's like, so I would think from here on out, Brock Purdy, until he can prove he can handle it, he's going to see a lot of man-to-man coverage.
Yeah, exactly. And the one play, that we talked about last week, one of Brock Purdy's pet peeves, one of the plays where he tries to drop it over the linebacker. The Browns played that excellent. You get deep if you're the middle linebacker, make it more difficult. And so, no, I think, if your other teams, what you saw from the Browns was the blueprint. Unfortunately, not the Browns are the top defense in the league for a reason, right?
Yes.
And they showed it yesterday.
We are still waiting for more information on Christian McCaffrey and results from his MRI. He has an oblique/rib injury, although Shanahan today said it's an oblique and a rib injury. But just as I looked it up, I want to show you, Kyle, and I apologize to you, dear listener. It's a picture of McCaffrey from yesterday, and he's running the ball, and there's somebody in the Browns just yanking a fistful of his face mask down.
Did he get whistled for it? Okay, then move on. What is this?
That's all. Anybody? That's like Christian McCaffrey. What do you do? Well, you rip his head off is what you do.
No, is that
face mask?
Dude, this
until
is
we
terrible.
can stop him.
This is
his head won't come off, but you got to yank on get that face mask and yank on it really hard, and then in the pile, all bets are off.
You don't even believe what you're saying right now.
Well, I'm exaggerating, but
right, you're exaggerating. Exactly.
It's happening, and it's football. I understand it. I understand why it's happening.
You know why? But here's the thing, Whitey. You're bringing this up because we watch the Niners week in and week out. I guarantee you there are other face mask penalties being called across around the league. It's not just happening to Christian McCaffrey.
All I know is that yesterday, Greg Olsen on the telecast, I was like,
Greg Olsen.
I hope Kyle Draper heard this because he goes, well, he's being targeted. I don't think there's any question about that. So
he's being targeted in terms of we got to bring this guy down. We're keying on him. He's not being targeted as in targeting in college football where you're leading headfirst or you're trying to knock a guy out or you're trying to injure a guy. He's being targeted. We got to stop Christian McCaffrey at all costs.
He's being targeted in terms of bring him down however you can. If he gets hurt, there's some upside. But I said, that's professional football.
This is no, you can't say and then say it's professional football. You're the one raising the point right now. If it's professional football, deal with it.
Yeah.
Deal with the Niners. Deal with the Christian McCaffrey. And those guys whining about it the last couple of weeks, talking about the Niners. They're the ones that brought this up, thinking, maybe they're targeting. Man, be quiet and play football.
Compio says 49ers get Debo back. They will be okay.
Oh, Compio. Nobody's worried, right? Like, this was an anomaly. This was one of those games. The Browns had the perfect defensive game plan. Guys got injured. Brock Purdy looked suspect. It's not going to happen like that every week. Now, if they go into Minnesota, who doesn't have a good defense, and they struggle, then you start to get worried. And it also shows you just how key health is for this Niners team. And let's say CMC can't go, and they look terrible next week against the Vikings. It shows me that this team, one injury, maybe two away from not being, like you said earlier, a long injury to Trent Williams or a CMC, they don't become Super Bowl favorites anymore.
Right. Jason says, played bad, but still should have won. Seen worse losses. No worries for the 49ers. I know we touched on this earlier, and I know this sounds kind of bizarre, but Tim Kawakami knows this team very well. And I think he actually tweeted this yesterday. The 49ers are so injury paranoid.
Yes.
You can understand why, that he suggested they might hold some guys out of this game because they don't like the type of turf they'll be playing on next week. And when they played on this, I think it was the same type of turf that they played on a couple of years ago against the Jets and Giants, and Bosa got hurt and all kinds of guys got hurt. So it's just something to keep an eye on because the 49ers are so injury paranoid.
Let me ask you this.
I hope they don't do
that. If that's
that.
the case, what do you think about that? Is that kind of weak? Are they giving away a game? Like, what do you think?
Yes, I think that would be a poor choice. I think that'd be very unfortunate.
Right. Yeah,
especially coming off of a loss.
What does that say? Coming off a loss. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. You're 100% right about that. That's what, that loss yesterday made this week's game much more important. You caught a break, the Eagles losing as well. Who knows? The Eagles may lose again this week, but now you got to worry about Detroit as well. Detroit in that weak division also, too. Detroit might be a factor come, NFC playoff time, especially in terms of home field and all that.
Yes, pardon me. But especially if they defend. Do you think maybe, not looking for excuses, but for your team, yesterday was kind of a trap game with the Dolphins coming up?
Yeah.
I believe in that to a degree.
Yeah, I think so. I think a trap game, and also the Eagles got up early and they sort of relaxed. Mm-hmm. But just like, with the Niners, the Browns got confidence. Well, the Jets got confidence. Their defense started pinning their ears back, and we saw what happened. That's why it's so hard to go undefeated and win a football game.
Who do you like in this one tonight? Chargers, Cowboys coming up.
Ooh, this is a good one.
I like the Chargers.
I was thinking the Chargers also. If it was in Dallas, I would give the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt. Give me the Chargers tonight.
Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. We're back with you tomorrow. Kyle, we'll do it again tomorrow. Is that
right? So full show tomorrow too.
Yeah, absolutely. Drive Guys back with you tomorrow. Monday Night Football coming up on Sactown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sactown